An Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Buddy, are we ready to do this?
I think this is it, right?
It's a beautiful, beautiful day in the sports bar. It's a beautiful day because I believe we have the Buffalo Bills schedule. I believe we've pieced it together. I believe through different confirmed reports, we're able to kind of share what the 2025 Buffalo Bills season looks like with you here first before the official release at 8 o'clock tonight.
You're going to be busy tonight. You've got family, you've got kids, you've got the Knicks and Celtics, you've got the Amherst. You don't need to be waiting till 8 o'clock.
And maybe we should preface by saying this isn't being officially reported by the NFL, so take it with a grain. But based on all of the reports that are out there, all of the leaks that have happened, all of the things that are being reported, I feel pretty confident about the schedule that we have in front of us, that we can share this with you and believe that it is as credible as anything you're going to hear until 8 o'clock.
It checks out. Like when this came out earlier, and then when you saw the ones that are being reported, like Bills and Eagles, let's say, reported by Philadelphia. Okay, that's week 17. We'll get to all this. So I think we're confident saying that this is it. Like the one year the NCAA bracket was released, like, is this it? Is it not? Is this real? And then you sit through one part of the bracket like, oh, my gosh, that was it.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, Bonaventure didn't get in. You're like that's reality. The takeaway from this, Danger, if somebody has a complaint about this schedule we're about to tell you, please share it with me.
Exactly.
Honestly, this is golden.
This is the year. It has to be the year. No excuses with this schedule. We'll get to it in a second. First, let's set the table, let you know who's stopping by the sports bar. And thank you up front for being with us here this afternoon in the sports bar. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app, or watching on our YouTube channel or on Twitch at The Fan Rochester, where we stream live every afternoon from 3 until 6. While you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thad Brown, News 8 sports director, stops by the sports bar later this afternoon, right around 4:25.
Yeah, we can talk to Thad about some of these CBS matchups, for example, in week 2. Well, we'll get to it. But Thad Brown, not only takes on the Bills' schedule, but got a pretty big hockey game coming up tonight, Blue Cross Arena. Game 1, finally, for the first time since May the 1st.
It's on.
We have a game,
Yeah, it's on. North Division Finals, Laval the opponent. You'll hear the action on the Fan Rochester tonight starting at 7 o'clock. Game 1, and Thad Brown will be stopping by. We'll talk Amherst. We'll talk NFL schedule. We'll talk Buffalo Bills with News 8 sports director Thad Brown coming up at 4:25. And as he does every Wednesday at 3:25, the host of Send It In on the BetMGM network, we will talk to our buddy PJ Glasser coming up here in just a few.
PJ Glasser, yes, cannot wait to talk to him. What plays tonight if you want a little extra action? The Celtics are actually favored at home, which, if you think about that, yeah, they're still the defending champion trying to repeat here. And, gosh, it will be tough for the Knicks to close it out, even though Jason Tatum not available. So we'll talk to PJ Glasser about the NBA. We'll get his plays in baseball as well. And, yeah, he's probably going to be gloating about week 1. He was the first to kind of tell me by text this morning what was going to be happening with week 1 in the Buffalo Bills.
Insider Calls presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. You can join us this afternoon on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 866-4FAN. Like Gino said, when we talk to you about this schedule, find something to poke a hole in. Honestly, let us know what complaints you have about this schedule that we're about to share with you. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub at 135 West Commercial Street in ER. GoodSmokeBBQ.com. You mentioned it. Week 1, Sunday Night Football. It's not the Bengals. It's not the Chiefs. It is the Baltimore Ravens. It's a rematch of the divisional round win by the Buffalo Bills. Baltimore coming in week 1.
For the first time since the year 2000, the Bills open up at home in prime time. So you have the rematch of the Bills and the Ravens from last year's divisional round matchup, which was fantastic. You have those storylines in Baltimore, the drop pass from tight end Mark Andrews. You have the MVP from 2 years ago in Baltimore against the MVP from last year or last season in Buffalo. So all these storylines whipped up. Here it is on a Sunday night. And when I tell you, Danger, that this is the toughest game until the Bills get to the bye.
Yes.
Without question, because Baltimore last year, I think, is kind of the exception where, hey, you lost a tough game in Kansas City, which, you're one toe away from knocking off the Chiefs. And then they lost to the Raiders in week 2. This is the team always that takes the preseason uber seriously, the Baltimore Ravens. They will come in primed. They just gave their running back, Derrick Henry, a new contract. So it's a tough opener, but the theme here is you have other tough games. Kansas City, Philadelphia, Cincinnati. We'll get to all that. You'll understand why this is favorable to get this out of the way early.
So Baltimore week 1, primetime, Sunday Night Football. A couple of stats. You mentioned the bye. If this schedule that we have is true, and we have every reason to believe that it is accurate, the Bills' bye will occur week 7. Week 7 bye for the Buffalo Bills. Prior to that bye, and this is wild, 5 out of their first 7 games, I'm sorry, 4 out of their first 6 games, I should say. 4 out of their first 6 games are primetime games. They will play 2 1 o'clock games in their first 6. Week 2, you mentioned it. They'll be at the New York Jets for a 1 o'clock kickoff from the Meadowlands. Move to week 3. Much like they did last year, it's an early season tilt against their divisional rival in Miami, except this time it will be in Buffalo. Thursday Night Football on Prime for week 3 with the Dolphins coming to Orchard Park. Week 4 has the Bills hosting the Saints, 1 o'clock. Week 5, their 3rd straight home game. This will be a Sunday night affair against the New England Patriots. An AFC East divisional game. Again, we'll get the official release at 8 o'clock tonight, but we have every reason to believe that this is an accurate Bills schedule according to everything that's been reported around the league and leaked throughout the league. New England week 5, Sunday Night Football, before the Bills hit the road week 6 to take on the Atlanta Falcons on Monday Night Football.
Which is another opponent that was reported earlier that the Bills are going to Atlanta. That's another reason why we believe this schedule to be the one.
So if you look at that first section of the Bills 2025 schedule through 6 weeks, 1 loss is the basement. I don't think you're doing worse than 1 loss out of those first 6 weeks. You could go in your bye at 5-1 or 6-0.
Okay. Can I tack on the game outside of the bye? Because Sean McDermott from the Andy Reid school of coming out of the bye, very good, right? Excellent. Carolina on the road.
Oh, week 8, yeah.
Week 8. So if you go weeks 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, skip 7 and the 8, okay, in that 6-game stretch, you're not playing a team that had a winning record last year.
Correct.
Holy cow. Let's review, okay? At Jets, week 1, win. Miami on a Thursday night, win. Saints, one of the worst teams in the last, 25 years. Good luck with that, Saints. What will be the line on that? I can't wait to see when that comes out. Bills by, 17 in the early betting? New England and Atlanta. Which of these two would be, if there is kind of a trap game? New England, I don't believe so. Would Diggs be ready for that? The fact that that's on Sunday night. I think Atlanta on a Monday night could be tricky, but again, you're heading into the bye.
I think New England would be the tricky one for me. I'm not too concerned about Atlanta, although I do think Penix is going to have a nice season this year. I think the Bills can handle Atlanta in primetime on Monday night. So, again, if you look at the first 8 weeks with that week 7 bye baked in there, the Bills' schedule is about as favorable, I think, as you could have asked for. Maybe a one-loss team going into week 9 against Kansas City in Orchard Park.
Yep.
4:25
4:25, again, a Sunday afternoon, a little bit earlier in the month of November. In fact, that'll be the first Sunday in November. You get the Chiefs. Week 10, that's the jaunt down to Miami, which, all right, November, not a bad time to get out of town, and it's not oppressively hot there for the Bills like it was a few years ago. You play another Florida team, however, this is up here in Week 11 in Tampa Bay, which, okay, they can score points. You go back 2 years, they were a Hail Mary away from upsetting the Bills. And then you get Houston on a Thursday night, November the 20th. That'll be the fifth and final scheduled primetime game. So think about that. Basically, you're not going to have any primetime games scheduled in the month of December, which I'm a little surprised. I thought maybe one of these networks might want to show Buffalo in an evening snow globe like they did last year.
Could you get flexed? Could some of these games get flexed?
That's a Capaccio question because
I wonder, because one of the opponents here down the stretch, if they're contending, would be an interesting flex. Week 14 specifically.
Well, or that's a protected game. That's one of those, okay, Sunday afternoon protected. But the way I understand this, Danger, is you're allowed a max of 5 primetime games, which the Bills got. But are you allowed? Can you get flexed in for one more? We'd have to kind of look that one up.
All right, where'd we leave off? That last Thursday night game.
Okay, so
last
then
week 12.
Now we get to Thanksgiving week, and no, the Bills aren't on Thanksgiving. Okay, we can tell you that. The Vikings and Lions, by the way, Dan DeLorean not happy. Okay, that's official. The Cowboys are on Thanksgiving, of course, and we already knew.
Cowboys Chiefs on Thanksgiving.
I'm sorry, yes,
That's
Cowboys,
going
Chiefs,
to
yeah.
break records. That will be. That could end up being, when it's all said and done, if both teams are what we think they are, that could be the most watched regular season game in NFL history, or at least for Thanksgiving. For a Thanksgiving game, it wouldn't shock me with those two teams.
Most watched regular season game in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, not Thanksgiving. Yeah, it'll set the record. No, you don't have to worry about the Bills on Thanksgiving. In fact, you don't have a home game on Thanksgiving, but short drive, you go to Pittsburgh. So, again, not going to Ireland. You're going to Pittsburgh, 425, that being on Week 13. And, Danger, that concludes the month of November.
You get into the month of December, Week 14, and this is the game I was talking about. I don't know if it can get flexed or not, but if both teams are contending, the Bills and the Bengals, right now scheduled to play in the late afternoon window in Orchard Park, Week 14, Sunday, December 7th. You got a couple of road games, 1 o'clock kickoffs, Weeks 15 and 16, with New England and Cleveland. Before you get to Week 17, and this is another one that was reported earlier, the Bills and the Eagles, 425. That's December 28th. So you avoid Christmas, you avoid Thanksgiving, you get the Eagles late in the season in the 425 window. Before you conclude your season, Week 18, hosting the New York Jets.
Oh, gosh.
This is a great schedule.
It's fantastic. Now, if you have complaints, grievances, he's at AKA Mike Danger. I'm at my name, Gene Battaglia. The Fan Rochester, our handle. Better way probably to give us a call at 866-4326, 866-4FAN. Just some of the feedback. Derek writing to me, I hope not. Cleveland game is too late in the season, in my opinion. Cleveland will be out of it by that point, you would think. From a standpoint of I wanted to go down there, but heck, that should be like a Buffalo Bills party on December the 21st. Chris writing in, I don't like the idea of having the bye before Week 10. Okay, that's the one, and you hear Brownie and Tasker talk about it. The Bills have been the beneficiary of having the late bye. This would be coming October 12th. Not great.
Yeah, but I also think you've got 3 straight home games, Weeks 3, 4, and 5. The time of year when watching a ball game in Orchard Park is ideal. It's the best time of year to be at the stadium to root on the Bills. And you got 3 straight weeks in late September, mid-September to early October. You've got the 2 games to wrap up the season at home with Philadelphia and the Jets. And by the way, I like that they're playing Philadelphia at home late. Get the elements in play if there are elements. I like that.
Well, it's not unreasonable to think that the Bills might already have it locked in. Philadelphia, could they already have nothing to play for? Could that just be we were expecting big things here, but both these teams are kind of locked into their playoff season? It might be. And if you need the Jets, if you need that game for whatever reason,
Right.
you don't know, okay, great. I can't see whoever's quarterbacking that team coming in. If I just go back to the beginning of the schedule, Danger, this team should be 5-1 heading into the bye, at worst. And I'm thinking the Baltimore game is certainly the toughest. You're looking at either New England or Atlanta, but honestly, you're getting New England at home. You're going to Atlanta with a green quarterback. Honestly, you should win both of those games too. At Jets, please. Miami here, please. Saints, win. It's so good, this schedule. Oh, by the way, just point out, if you're just kind of only half listening, there's not a Christmas Day game here. There's not the December 27th standalone Peacock. You don't have to worry about going to get some other streaming service here.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a real case to be made, by the way, that this team could be 7-0 going into Week 9 to take on the Kansas City Chiefs at home. If you think that the 1 seed is the path to the Bills getting a Super Bowl, then 7-0 taking on the Chiefs Week 9 becomes a very, very important game.
Well, even if you're 6-1 and say Kansas City's 7-0, well, then you can you take care of business against Kansas City like you did in the regular season last year. Then you're in the catbird seat. Remember, when the Bills beat the Chiefs last year, it wasn't even pulled them a little closer, but they never could get over the top. Again, could you have written anything better, Bills fans? I challenge you. Maybe you wanted one of those Netflix games on Christmas Day.
Nah.
No.
I like the early season primetime games. I like the 3-game homestand early in the year. I like that you've got when you look at this, you don't really see any one stretch of the schedule that looks like a gauntlet. Like if you play a tough team and then you got to follow it up and play another tough team, it's like, oh God, here we go again. I mean, look at last year's schedule, and there were times in the season where we're like, oh God, like that stretch where they had to play Chiefs, Niners, Rams, Lions, and they went 3-1 that stretch towards the end of the season. And yeah, the Niners weren't what we thought they were, but the Rams gave you more than of a fight than you thought they were, and the Lions game was an absolute shootout. I mean, you're wasted week in and week out having to go through those tough stretches of the schedule. And if this schedule is accurate, you really don't have a tough stretch. You have a tough game surrounded by winnable games.
Phil writing in, a lot of primetime games early as opposed to later in the season. Wonder why they front-loaded that. Like Nielsen sweeps are still a thing, right? And they don't really count in December, right? So if you're being a partner to your network's Bills and say Bills in Houston on Thursday Night Football on Prime, that's better in November during the sweeps.
Now, Brad sent me a text on the Secret Text Doso, one of our regulars here in the sports bar. I'm calling my shots. The Miami Dolphins will be picking in the top 5 of the 2026 draft with a new head coach and GM. The Chiefs will not win their division. Their flag luck will run out. Kelsey, who's in the best shape of his career, will have a hamstring or high ankle sprain by week 6. A couple of bold predictions there from one of our regulars, Brad, as we lay out what appears to be the 2025 Bills schedule.
Oh, by the way, if we're comparing the Bills schedule to the Chiefs, and that's, if we're doing the measuring contest, that's the team that you got to get past, right? Okay, the Chiefs open up in Brazil. Week 3, their Sunday Night Football at the Giants. They go to Jacksonville on Monday Night Football Week 5. They host Detroit on Sunday Night Football Week 6. Week 8, Kansas City is on Monday Night Football against Washington. And they're on Thanksgiving. And they're on Christmas. Woo! And to answer your question, Phil, well, that's Kansas City using up all 5 of their games by week 8. Yeah, get it while it's good, I guess.
Now, there is a team that I think we have some fans in the area of that if this schedule that I saw for them is to be believed, then I think it's safe to say we can expect wholesale changes mid-season, that two guys that are already on the hot seat aren't going to make it through the entirety of the season, because the Giants' schedule, until they get to their bye in Week 14, will murder them. It will absolutely. If this is true, if this is accurate, and we have every reason to believe that it is, they start with divisional games at Washington, at Dallas, before they have to go to Kansas City, host Kansas City, I should say, and host the Chargers. They could be 0-4 to start the season. They get a win against New Orleans in Week 5, sure, but then they have to play Philly at home in the Meadowlands, travel to Denver, travel to Philadelphia again just a week later, Week 8. I mean, there's a real chance that the Giants could start this season through 8 weeks with 1 win or 0 wins. And I feel bad for Brian Daboll and I feel bad for Joe Shane, but this schedule didn't do them any favors.
So it's really wasn't common for the Giants to fire coaches. In fact, like Joe Judge was kind of a dopey coach, right? But even they let him stick around till the end of the season. Want to take a guess, Danger? Last coach to be fired in season by the New York Giants. This after a 2-10 start. The year is 2017.
McAdoo.
Yes. Mr. Brill Cream, right?
Yeah.
Remember that hair?
Ben McAdoo.
Ben McAdoo.
Not good. Not good. I don't have anything against Dayball or Shane, but man, that schedule's not doing them any favors. That could be a tough go if they're going to try and keep their jobs in the 2025 season. They didn't get any favors handed down to them. We'll talk to PJ Glasser next. He's the host of Send It In on the BetMGM network. We'll get his favorite plays for tonight's action in the NBA. We'll talk a little NFL schedule. And by the way, PGA Championship week.
Ooh.
PJ likes him some golf.
So
as well.
much going on this
We
week.
got a lot happening. So we'll get PJ's winners and your calls as well at 866-4326, 585-866 for FAN.
update.
The wait is over for the Rochester Americans. Game 1 tonight at the Blue Cross Arena. Lavelle, the opponent. Mike Leone says, get it on.
I think everybody's just excited to play. It's been a long time. We're excited. Guys who worked really hard to put us in this position. It's a really good opponent. I think everybody just wants to compete, and you can't wait for a puck drop.
Leone on the Sports Bar on Tuesday. Don Stevens and Andrew Mossbrooks have the call on the Fan tonight beginning at 7 o'clock. You have dates for the Buffalo Bills schedule. Reports are that the Ravens will be the Week 1 opponent at home. We'll talk to our favorite Baltimorean, PJ Glasser from Send It In. He'll join us next. Quentin Morris, by the way, tight end, signing with Jacksonville. Knicks and Celtics tonight, Game 5. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Joined now by the host of Send It In and Odyssey Sports betting insider PJ Glasser. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. PJ, welcome back, and you're back on a great day, a glorious day, a day that we all look forward to on the sports calendar, a day that we find out the annual NFL schedule. And oh, look at that. You are, as Gene said, our favorite Baltimorean. The Ravens coming to Buffalo for a rematch of the divisional round game, Week 1 in primetime, Sunday Night Football. How we feeling, bud?
Oh, we're feeling good, guys. I'm looking forward to the rematch. Am I staying at Gene's guest room or Danger's guest room?
I mean, Gene's house is far more palatial than mine. You'd have to share a room with my daughter, and I'm not comfortable with that. Not comfortable with that, PJ. I'm going to tell you that right now.
PJ, we got a home monitor. You're welcome to crash, buddy. Everything's pull-out bed. Everything's fine. Private room.
Can't wait. You guys are going to got to take me to the spot where I can get the best wings in town. I'm looking forward to that.
Wings. No, in Rochester, you're getting a plate.
Well, you're getting a plate after we go out, after we go hard. We run hard, then we get a plate, and we wake up fresh, ready for the game on Sunday to start all over again and tailgate all day, drink our faces off all day Sunday before we get to the game. You know the routine. You've done enough primetime games in Baltimore.
Of course. My thoughts on the game, guys. We have to bet Mark Andrews' first touchdown score.
No
right?
question.
It's probably going to be about 10-1 because, just the way that obviously the playoff game went, the drop passes, the fumble, you just know the way that sports works. And if they get in the red zone, the Ravens are going to target them. So that's the first bet that I'm making is Andrews. And then you just know the way that the football gods work. That game is coming down to a Tyler Loop field goal attempt, the Ravens' new rookie kicker that they just drafted, right? I mean, you guys just know the way that these Bills-Ravens, Bills-Chiefs games, with how good the quarterbacks are, how good the teams are, it's going to be another coin flip, 2-point, 1-point game, and I can just see it now that it's going to come down to a field goal from him. So I would expect the game probably to open at about a pick 'em, right? Last year, the Ravens were about a 1-point favorite, 1.5-point favorite. I think it's probably going to be about a pick 'em this time around. And look, the way that you bet it, we talk about this all the time when I'm on. It's just such a great game to bet live, right? Like the Bills go down last year, 7-0 on the opening drive. You can get them plus 3.5. The Ravens are down 10 at halftime. You can get them plus 7.5. And you hit both of those spreads if you took both of them. I expect that game to go the both way. But I'm looking forward to my Mark Andrews first touchdown, fellas. I think he's going to score the first one of the game.
PJ, I don't want to wish time away, but just how college football came out with some kickoff times. And now at 8 o'clock, we'll have it all in front of us. And once you digest that for your favorite team, and then you start to think, oh, wait a second, let me look at the lines here. And is there anything to be said for it? Are you one of those that, okay, let's see what mistakes maybe Vegas made right off the bat here in these opening lines?
I don't think so, Gene. I'm not one to, tie up my money from now until like the first week of September when these games go out. But I think if you are looking for some mistakes, it's probably with these teams with either new head coaches or that are going to be starting young quarterbacks, right? Like Tennessee with Cam Ward. We obviously have no idea what to expect. Now, the rumors I'm seeing is that Tennessee's first game is going to be at Denver, which is obviously a really difficult assignment going up against a good defense in altitude and playing in front of a good home crowd in Denver, so that would be a tough game. And then any of these teams with new coaches, right? Like, we have no idea what to expect out of Dallas with Schottenheimer or Jacksonville with Liam Cohn, or we don't know what to expect out of the Raiders with Pete Carroll now, right? Like, some of these teams, I think that's where the value is, right? Like, a lot of these teams we expect to contend with the Super Bowl. We kind of know what we're getting, and a lot of those pieces are returning. But I think if you were to bet some of these games, the value to me is probably either fading or betting into some of these quarterbacks, young quarterbacks or new quarterbacks or some of these new head coaches.
And how does it work, PJ, with over-unders that have maybe already been set that we'll get a better glimpse now of what these schedules look like later tonight? Do you see a lot of shifting in how Vegas sets over-under win totals for the season, or is that going to stay static through the schedule release tonight?
So, it was funny, Danger. Last year, this was a big topic of discussion because of the new kickoffs, right? With the touchback moving up even more, we thought maybe there was some value there on the overs because you were getting some moving out to the 35. You have a better chance to score some points. Now, because we've had a full season of it, I don't really think, there's any value. Again, I think when it comes more so to totals, I would look at the teams that lost major pieces on defense, right? Like guys that are now in the new green dot positions where they're calling out defensive plays, things like that. Maybe you look to fade those teams and bet overs in those type of games where their defense might not be as sharp. But for totals, I don't really think there's too much value to be gained early on in the season. I think a lot of people maybe look towards the under because obviously those starters are kind of getting back into the flow of things, back into the season. But for me, if you are going to bet something, probably the spread would be the way to go.
Yeah, PJ Glasser, our guest, our first conversation here in a few weeks with you, PJ. And last time we spoke, I said, hey, next time we talk, we're going to be talking about the Celtics facing elimination down 3-1 to the Knicks. And, oh, by the way, with Tatum and everything else. And, my gosh, what a job by New York. But I'm not ready to cross off Boston tonight. This looks tempting with the Celtics. I'm looking at 4.5, Boston giving up. How do you play this game tonight, the first of the NBA doubleheader?
I love Boston tonight, Gene. Put them in all your money line parlays. Lay the 4.5 with them. I totally agree with you, right? I don't think a lot of people are going to like Boston tonight because the Knicks are up 3-1 in the series. No more Tatum. Everybody's talking about how much of a loss Tatum's going to be on offense, and obviously that makes a lot of sense. But defensively, guys, he's leading the Celtics in rebounding so far in this series, right? So not only are you taking the leading scorer off the floor for Boston, you're also taking the leading rebounder, right? So just it makes sense why nobody would want Boston tonight at home. But at the end of the day, we have to remember that this is still the Knicks, right? And they're not going to make life easy on their fans, on themselves. And it's still Boston. I mean, they're the defending champs. It's kind of like what we're going through right now in the Stanley Cup playoffs, right, with the Leafs and the Panthers. Panthers are the defending champs. The Leafs are obviously trying to exercise all of these demons throughout the years. And after going up 2-0, you've seen Florida come back and tie that series 2-2. So I think we're going back to the Garden, or Madison Square Garden, I should say, for Game 6. I like Boston quite a bit tonight. This team's won a championship. Even without Jason Tatum, I think they find a way. I think it's a big Peyton Pritchard game. I think Jaylen Brown steps up. So I like Boston tonight at home.
Game 5 tonight in Minnesota between the Warriors and the T-Wolves. We know that Steph has been cleared for light work, but might be a wait and see if they get to Game 6. Do the Wolves close out the Warriors tonight at home?
Tough game to handicap because it's really all about the motivation for Golden State, right? We saw earlier in the postseason Miami and Cleveland, and how the Heat they quit, especially in Game 4. I mean, that truly is what quitting looks like, what Miami did against Cleveland. So that, to me, is really what it's about tonight for Golden State. Do they feel like their season's over? Are they already 1-2-3 Cancun? Are they going to continue to fight? I think they're going to continue to fight because they still have a lot of pride, and they know that if they can win this game, there's a chance they could get Curry back for Game 6 at home. You win that one, and then you force it to a Game 7 where we know anything can happen. So I think Golden State's going to fight tonight. They got a lot of pride. They obviously have veterans. They have guys that have won championships. So I would expect a great effort tonight out of Golden State. Minnesota's trying to win their first home series, clinch their first series at home in 21 years. They're a team, an organization that's not used to being in this position. So I do like Golden State tonight plus the points. My only concern is if they just quit and they don't show up. But if they play hard, I think they can keep this within the number.
PJ Glasser is the host of Send It In, which you can hear daily on the BetMGM network. Always kind to give us some thoughts and some plays here. And let's look ahead here to tomorrow night, PJ. Just one game with Indiana. Maybe a surprise to many, wrapping up their series against Cleveland. Just one game tomorrow night. Oklahoma City, Denver, and it's actually the Thunder as small favorites here on the road. Denver having won a championship 2 years ago. So, PJ, honestly, I don't know how to play this one. How do you view this?
Yeah, it is a tough game to play, especially with the spread, Gene. Thunder 4.5. I just like them to win the game. You know, I think they're a good play, minus 200 on the money line. You can parlay them. Maybe with like Boston tonight. I think OKC Boston's a really good money line parlay that you can get for plus money. I think OKC closes it out tomorrow. You know, Denver's had a great opportunity these last couple games. They've held the double-digit lead in the third quarter in games 4 and games 5, and they haven't been able to shut the door. And that's what makes it tough. And I think the longer this series goes, the bigger advantage for OKC because of their depth. And, guys, because of the fact that, you know, Denver played a 7-game series against the Clippers. Now they're playing a 6-game series. They played like 7 games in 14 days. They've pretty much gone every other day for 2 weeks. OKC's younger, they're a little more rested, and their defense is so good. And when you get into these game 6s, game 7s, these elimination games where it really slows down, it gets more physical, I think you got to give the edge to the defensive team. So Denver's really had their opportunities these last couple games, and they haven't been able to get it done. I think OKC gets it done tomorrow night and closes out the series. So I like the Thunder to win that game.
And PJ, quickly, before we shift off the NBA, what exactly is waiting for either the Knicks or the Celtics with this Pacers team that just dispatched the top seed?
So I think it's going to be Knicks and Pacers, and I like the Pacers, you guys. I really do. I mean, we saw those teams match up in the playoffs last year, and Indiana won that series. Their offense is just, it's really good, and they just keep coming at you in waves. Their pace is really difficult to deal with, and they got a lot of confidence. And I just love betting against the Knicks when everybody's expecting them to do something, you know? And obviously not a lot of people thought they'd get past Boston. Now it looks like they're going to. They're going to be favorites in that series against Indiana. I think a lot of people are going to like them against the Pacers. I'm not going to be one of those people. Halliburton's playing with a lot of confidence. And, again, the fact that Indiana proved to themselves that they could do it last year, I think is bode well for them going into that series against the Knicks. Guys, Cleveland, I mean, they were a really good team this year, and they dispatched them in 5 games. So I like Indiana in that series against the Knicks, who I think it's going to be.
We got a few games that are coming up here as we speak on the Major League schedule, including your O's hosting Minnesota. But we have action tonight. We got the Mets hosting Pittsburgh. We've got, Colorado's so bad, but they're going against Patrick Corbin. I don't know. I want any part of that one. PJ, are there any plays in baseball that you're advising for tonight?
Yeah, so we're going to go to the White Sox and the Reds. I like the White Sox tonight, you guys, plus 165, and they're taking some money, and it's all about the starter for the Reds. Our guy Nick Lodolo is on the mound tonight for Cincinnati. His home and road splits are really drastic, right? Really good ERA at home this season, on the road this season, under 2, but at home, 6.75 ERA. So he's really struggled at home. And I think that's why you're starting to see the White Sox money line come down. So I like Chicago tonight, plus 165. And then I like Machado tonight, you guys, over 1.5 total bases at plus money as well. They're facing Kyle Hendricks for the Angels. Manny is 9 for 20 in his career against Kyle Hendricks. He's having a great season, and he's got great history against Hendricks. So I think that's just a great matchup tonight for Manny, for the Padres as well. Look at the over in that game, over 9 at plus 100 on BetMGM. So those are a couple bets for me tonight in Major League Baseball. A little Lodolo and Machado.
I don't want to put you on the spot, PJ, but you did bring up the Stanley Cup playoffs, and I know that every now and then on your show, Send It In, you might give us a little glass on ice. What do you think about these 2 series that we have tonight with Florida? Toronto that you mentioned is even at 2, and you got Edmonton looking to close out Vegas here tonight.
Yeah, guys, I think both home teams are going to win tonight. I like the Leafs' dogs plus 115, and I like Vegas tonight at minus 120 as well. Right, so in the Toronto series, the home team's won all 4 games so far. The Leafs have dropped the last 2. Florida's a favorite here on the road. But, guys, I was encouraged with Toronto, even though they lost those games. Game 3, they lose in overtime. Game 4 is a 2-0 shutout. But they were in that game. They had chances in the second, third period to tie that game and send it to overtime. They're playing well, and they've been good at home so far here in the postseason. So I like them tonight at plus 115. And then I like Vegas as well. I think Edmonton's going to win the series. They're the better team. Their offense is terrific. But these two teams, I think, were good enough to get us to a Game 6. Right? That's what we love about the Stanley Cup playoffs. So many of these series go to 6 games. They go to 7 games, and I think this is going to be another one of those. So I like Vegas at home tonight to send it back to Edmonton. Give me both home teams tonight, the Leafs and the Knights.
Shame on me for being unprepared because I know we have the PGA Championship. PJ, where anything you could tell us about the course? Where are they playing this at?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, they're playing at Quail Hollow this week, you guys, in Charlotte. That's a good one. And can I tell you guys, who I really like this week? Our guy, Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
Guys, he looks. This is the course just tailor made for Bryson. I mean, you think about recently how he's fared in the majors, right? Last 5 majors that he's played in, 4 of those 5, he's finished tied for 6th or better. And this course, what I'm looking for this week, guys who can bomb it off the tee and guys who got a great short game. And Bryson's as good as anybody with that kind of combo. Him and Rory, which is why Rory has won at this course 4 times. Also, another great comp course for Quail Hollow is Valhalla, where they played the PGA last year, and Bryson finished tied for 2nd. So, guys, this is a par 71 course. It's like 7,600 yards, and they have gotten a ton of rain over the last couple of days, so it's going to play even longer than that. So these guys that can really send it off the tee are guys that I think have a big advantage, which is why I like Bryson. I like Rory. I think Xander's got a great chance. I would look at some long shots like Minwoo Lee, Wyndham Clark as well. And then, guys, I got to give you a narrative play, right? We obviously just had Rory complete the career Grand Slam after his win at the Masters. Nobody's talking about the fact that Jordan Spieth has a chance to complete the career Grand Slam this week at the PGA. Jordan's playing really well as of late. He's got some decent course history here. He's sneaky long off the tee, and Jordan's always got a great short game. So I can just sit back and picture we head into the weekend, head into Sunday with all the storylines being, can we have another guy complete the career Grand Slam? So maybe keep an eye on Jordan Spieth this week as well.
Did either of you guys see the pictures of Scotty Scheffler in today's practice round?
No.
I did.
No, that's a troll job, is it not, PJ?
So good. He's wearing orange because obviously it's like a year removed from him going to jail, and it's the best. I mean, I bet Scotty top 5 because of that, Gene. I just so much respect for the troll job.
That is no doubt. And when I say orange, it's bright orange. It's like, hey, you were arrested.
Looks
orange.
like he's wearing a jumpsuit.
Perp walk type of orange. Yeah, I'm like, that's brilliant there. PJ, tell everybody about sending in. Fast pace, gives you action. Make it part of your day.
It is, guys, 1 to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Mondays through Fridays. You can check us out on Twitch, on YouTube, on X. Just search the BetMGM Network, at the BetMGM Network on X. And like you said, Gene, quick, fast pace, and we're busy this time of the year, fellas. Lots to talk about, right? NBA, NHL, we got baseball, we got majors going on in golf. So, tune in, check us out. It's interactive, so if you watch the show, you can chime in with your bets, any questions that you have. And, of course, we got the NFL schedule released tonight, guys, like we were talking about earlier. So we're going to have lines out for all these Week 1 games a little bit later today. Can't wait.
Going to be great. PJ, appreciate the time. As always, enjoy the rest of your week, bud.
Yep. Thanks, fellas. Talk to you next week.
You got it. PJ Glasser hosts Send It In. He's our Odyssey Sports betting insider. PJ Glasser Insider Calls, presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app.
Great to have PJ back. Now, I agree with him, Danger, that it's a little crazy to, oh my gosh, wait a second. They have the Bills, Ravens as a pick-em week 1. I don't know if that to be true, but no point in putting down money right now. We're not professionals. But that doesn't mean that by the time we come back in tomorrow, we can peruse week 1.
I know
and
where you're going.
Yeah.
I know where you're going.
Yeah.
You're going to be looking for that week 1 survivor pick. You're already dialed in.
Here's the thing, because I have my rules, right? No divisional, no road, blah, blah, blah. Like, what if the Saints open up at Tampa? Like, the Saints are going to be so bad, right?
Can't do it. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
Can't do it. Divisional game, rookie head coach. You would assume probably a rookie quarterback starting. Too much of a wild card. New offensive coordinator in Tampa. Too many
all
variables.
these divisional games that I'm seeing for week 1, I'm like, ooh,
Yeah. Yeah, they're going divisional heavy week 1.
Yeah.
They kind of tipped us to that with both the Eagles, Cowboys, and Chargers, Chiefs from Brazil, and then you've got other divisional games that are being reported.
You got Monday night, opening Monday night is Bears Vikings.
Yeah.
Divisional. Lots of divisional. Then we won't all be, obviously, but
Don't tempt me to go to Chicago on a Monday night for week 1. Don't tempt me.
I'm not telling you not to do it. Go ahead,
My
buddy.
God. My God. All my Bear fan buddies texting me as soon as that report dropped, as soon as Schultz dropped that report. What are we doing? I'm like, can we wait until 8 o'clock? Can we wait until it's actually official before we start making plans?
Was it last year or the year before? Because they all run together. The Bears open up together. You're like, this is the year they're opening. No. Yeah, Packers are
It
like.
was the
no.
Packers.
That was, yeah.
It was last year. It was the Packers. And, it was not great.
No.
Never is. Great having PJ on. Great to get his reaction to that week 1 matchup that's being reported between the Bills and the Ravens. Get some winners in baseball. He likes the Celtics tonight. He also thinks if the Warriors aren't quitting, which I don't see a Steve Kerr team quitting in this series. I would imagine they're going to put up a fight. It's really, can Minnesota hold them off and close that series out before Steph gets healthy enough to return potentially in Game 6. And he likes both home teams in the Stanley Cup playoffs tonight, with Toronto and Vegas hosting in their series. Great stuff. And if you missed any of that conversation, we'll get it up for you on demand shortly here in the free-to-download Odyssey app and wherever you get your podcast. Just search out Sports Bar.
Yeah, we've got time for your calls. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. More reaction. And if you missed at the top of the show, what we have, we believe to be, we have every reason to think that this is the Bills schedule that was leaked online and everything that is checking out from other sources. We'll get to that, too, if you missed it.
Yeah. I also heard a take earlier today from, one of the – he's not one of the talking heads. He does have takes. I view him as, he's the company guy. He's the guy that's going to view things through the lens of the company and what would be great for the company. The argument that he presents for this to happen, when he mentioned this morning, Mike Greenberg, when he mentioned this morning, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
He's quick glance here. He's getting skewered. Normally, Greeny's takes are like, okay, yeah.
He's reasonable to a point, but his reasoning, it seems to me like it's only through the lens of what would be good television instead of what would actually be good for the NFL. I'll explain. We'll get into that. We'll look at this schedule that we have every reason to believe is accurate for the Buffalo Bills in 2025. Yes, we believe we have the schedule here before it gets released tonight at 8 o'clock. If you're looking for no spoilers, we're going to give you some spoilers.
Sorry.
I know you're thirsty. I know you want this. We're going to try and give it to you here and lay it out for you. It's a favorable look for the Buffalo Bills, and we'll get into it next on The Fan.
CAM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester. Sports update.
The wait is over for the Amherst. Finally, we are here. Game 1 tonight, round 2. Laval, the opponent. Head coach Mike Leone on that Laval offense.
They're a really good cycling team below the circles. A lot of their plays, we call them resets, where they go below the goal line and finding space, and they make a lot of plays into the slot. Like soft areas in the slot, they're really good at finding those areas.
Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks will have your call tonight here on the Fan Rochester. We have some dates of the Bills' schedule. Reports are that the Ravens will be the Week 1 opponent at home on Sunday Night Football. Also, the bye week will be Week 7 on October the 19th. Quentin Morris, the tight end, signing today with Jacksonville. Busy night. You got the Knicks and Celtics. Yankees are in Seattle. That's coming up next hour. The Red Wings are taking on Norfolk. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Thunder, they are on the verge of closing out the Nuggets.
I think we're looking at the Timberwolves' next finals, by the way, and I'm here for it.
I don't know if you know, pickleball is quite the sport. It's emerging, Gino. Everybody's playing pickleball nowadays.
That's why it's good for sports talk radio, that's for sure.
95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome back. Thanks for joining us here in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia. Thanks for listening to 95.7 FM, AM 950. The free-to-download Odyssey app. You can get us on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. You can even watch the Sports Bar on YouTube or Twitch. Check out our channel, The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe while you're there. It is an unbelievable night of action in front of us. And Gino, I'm dressed. You said, how was the job interview? I'm dressed to go to church right when we get off the air. I'm going to pray extra hard for everybody's favorite teams to win tonight.
Confirmation night?
Confirmation night for my little one.
Wow.
Big night. And, I'm like, middle of the week. What could go wrong? It's game 1 of the Amerks. Knicks could close up the Celtics.
You got the NFL schedule coming out tonight.
NFL schedule, all of it.
That. Yeah, tonight is just, what? It's a fantastic sports night. And, yes, we do have what we believe is the Bills' schedule. Somebody leaked it, and we've checked out, and not every date has been confirmed yet, but or reported. But I think it's legit enough for us.
I think it's legit enough as well. I mean, when you see the leaks that are out there, and there's enough of them that are being reported by credible sources, it's only natural to imagine that every team right now, every member of every team right now, has the schedule, and that things are going to come out and get reported on. And you can kind of connect dots. 8 o'clock, the official schedule comes out. But I've seen enough people circulate this schedule for the Buffalo Bills where I feel everything about it checks out as far as what we've heard from other teams and other sources. So this may be the Buffalo Bills 2025 schedule. And if it is indeed the Bills 2025 schedule, I don't know how you could be anything but ecstatic about it because it lays out perfectly for the Buffalo Bills.
It does. We mentioned the update. Baltimore is the opener. We'll go over this in a second. One of the first takes I think I had on the Sports Bar was, wait a second, let's make the NFL fun and make it a draft lottery. But then as time goes on, I'm like, no, NFL teams really don't tank.
That's right.
Exhibit A. Like, what was that last year, Week 18, Buffalo and New England? A team that had every reason to lay down, and they cost themselves. Well, it's number one, it's just kind of the physicality of the sport. You can't take your foot off. Number two, it's the culture of the sport too. And number three, Danger, is the fact that all these contracts are not guaranteed. So try getting guys to give less than effort. It just does not work. So tanking to me in the NFL, I don't see a reason for changing anything when it comes to the draft.
I agree, and I get what Greeny is saying. Greeny earlier today on Get Up gave a reason for the NFL draft lottery, and his reasoning was really nothing more than just a giant number of eyeballs that would potentially be tuning into his network to see if their non-playoff team can score the top prize in the draft. And, it's topical now with the Mavs, stealing the NBA lottery with just over a 1% chance of winning it and getting the number one overall pick, and people proposing different ways that tanking can be eliminated. NFL teams have pulled up stakes a little bit earlier in the season now that there is 17 games. I see it. You see it. We all see it, that there's less games being won late in the season. It's only going to get worse as you expand the schedule and you get to 18 games. I can listen to the benefit of ESPN and ABC hosting an NFL draft lottery. It's just not necessary, Gino. And what you said, what makes the NFL a league where we all enjoy it is that so little tanking actually takes place, paging Mr. Mayo. So I'm against what Greeny is saying. I'm with you. I mean, I know he's in his mind, I feel like a company guy here. He's trying to propose something that would make the NFL more money and make ESPN more money by getting more eyeballs on a product that would be the most viewed television show every year for the NFL. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think they need it. I think they need to stay far, far away from the prospect of an NFL draft lottery.
Yeah, and what happens in the NFL other than compared to other sports, when was the last time an NHL team traded out of the top three? That never happens. In the NBA, you think Dallas is going to entertain offers for Cooper Flagg? No, they're not. We had one of the generational talents picked at number 2, and Cleveland said, "No thanks. We're gonna accumulate more draft capital." So if you're not picking number 1, you've got every reason to think, hey, you can get that quarterback. See Buffalo too. I think that the draft lottery, what he's proposing here, Danger, like you said, would it pull in numbers? I'm not even so sure. Like when it comes to the NBA and NHL lotteries, it's like, oh yeah, that's tonight. I kind of forget about it.
Yeah, I mean, he's also preying on the hope that losing teams have whenever the draft comes around. I mean, it becomes the season of optimism, the season of hope, because your team has the opportunity to draft a stud early in the draft. And I get all of that. But I think the way the NFL is set up is just slightly different than the NBA and the NHL. And even in the NHL, I mean, the culture of tanking in the NHL, the idea that the Sabres outwardly did what they did.
Disgusting.
And they still haven't recovered from it.
No.
It goes so counter to the culture of an NHL player, a professional hockey player, just like it does in the NFL, where these guys, they're not out there trying to lose games. They're out there trying to win every game. They're trying to get every dollar they can while they still can get it. So, in this space of takes that we are in, Greeny shared that take, and I just wanted to say, a horrible argument. Not listening to it. NFL doesn't need to change a thing. I know that there's probably money on the table and there's more opportunity for them to get that money, but don't do it with an NFL draft lottery.
No, and like to your point that we're going to have more interim coaches. Funny thing, like interim coaches, they want to coach and they want to win too. I don't even remember the guy from the Chargers where he ended up, but I do remember Brandon Staley losing to the Raiders. What was it, 55-0 or something silly like that? Yeah. And, okay, we got to fire you. And then, oh, no. The Bills are going to face an interim coach. The Chargers gave the Bills a game. You never want that gives a team a bounce. It really does. So, sure, we might have more coaches fired midseason, but I think it's more just to get the back channel stuff going. Who do we want in as our next guy?
So with all of this in mind, let's look at what we believe is the Bills' schedule for 2025. This becomes official tonight at 8 o'clock when the NFL announces it. And in that spirit, the idea that you really don't know what some of these teams are going to be. We haven't seen what New England will look like with Drake May at quarterback and Mike Vrabel as his head coach. We don't know that Bryce Young isn't going to continue to ascend. We don't know what Tampa Bay looks like. There's a bunch of opponents this year for the Buffalo Bills that on the surface look like wins. And when I looked at this schedule, my overall thought was the floor for this team is 5 losses. That's the floor. The ceiling is they go through the season with 2 losses, at most 2 losses. This sets up perfectly for them to be the 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah, and I think the question most fans had, because we speculated, right? Hey, the Bills are a TV product. You have these new TV partners like Netflix and Amazon. The Bills are going to get tapped for a Thanksgiving. Nope. No, they didn't. That went to the Chiefs. Oh, well, they're going to get tapped for Christmas. Nope. Christmas Day games are Dallas and Washington and Detroit and Minnesota, and you get one of the night games that was already announced.
Yeah, it was the Chiefs and Broncos.
Right, yeah. So the point being here, like, okay, as a fan, you can't
the Chiefs have to play on both Thanksgiving and Christmas Day. Have fun with that.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Get a big number. Wow, we're all going to be rooting for Dallas? When does that ever happen?
That's going to be gross.
Yeah. Go Cowboys. When you're going to lay this schedule out here, Danger, the idea that these primo opponents at home, Baltimore, Cincinnati, you got the defending champion Philadelphia Eagles in there. Oh, no, by the way, Kansas City, they're spread out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only one a month here, basically.
There's no gauntlet in this schedule if this is indeed the finalized schedule. There are some games that might be tricky, and of course we know that the opponents aren't all cream puffs, but the way it lays out, I don't think there's a hole that you can shoot in it if you're a Bills fan looking at it and saying, well, this doesn't work out at all for the Buffalo Bills. No, I think this works out actually perfectly for the Buffalo Bills. In fact, I could make a case for them being undefeated when they play Kansas City in Week 9, which we found out is going to be a 4:25 kickoff from Orchard Park, Week 9. That's if they can get by Baltimore, as we mentioned. Baltimore, Week 1, Sunday Night Football. It's going to be insufferable on social media leading up to it. You might as well just mute MVP right now because it's going to be gross.
Yeah.
But it'll be a fun matchup. We talked to PJ last hour about it. He says go ahead and pencil in Mark Andrews to be the first touchdown scorer. You know they're going to feed him to exercise those demons. Baltimore Week 1, Sunday Night Football in Orchard Park. Big game, big Week 1 game for the Bills to start the season. Then they go to the Jets, Week 2. They host Miami, Thursday Night Football, Week 3. Week 4, they host the Saints. There's your 1 o'clock home kickoff. And then Week 5, New England comes to Orchard Park for a Sunday Night Football primetime tilt. Week 6, the Bills travel to Atlanta, Monday Night Football. You heard me. 4 out of the first 6 weeks are primetime games for the Buffalo Bills. And just glancing at that, looking at it, and again, not knowing what New England might be or what Michael Penix in Atlanta might be, you could go into your bye Week 7, 6-0, or maybe at worst 5-1.
Take that a step further, because then the bye is October 19th. Following that on the 26th, hey, a Sunday 1 o'clock game in Charlotte. Oh, yeah, that should be a W too. At Jets, Miami, New Orleans, New England, at Atlanta, at Carolina. What do all those teams have in common? They all had losing records last season. Buffalo, 6 straight games against teams that are played under 500, and sure, the Patriots will be better. These other teams, yeah, tell me, maybe Atlanta will be better. That has all the looks of a nice winning streak heading into Kansas City. Danger, 6-1 is a realistic expectation for this team heading into Kansas City. And if Kansas City's in the same spot, then voila, the Bills will be in the catbird seat then for the number 1 overall seed if you can get by Kansas City there. Again, Kansas City coming in week 9, first Sunday in the month of November at 425.
We always kind of circle the Miami game. When are the Bills traveling to Miami? You get them week 10. That's November 9th. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff. So the temperatures won't be as extreme as they are early in the season. A good look for the Bills there as well before they host a Florida team. Tampa coming in for a 1 o'clock kickoff, week 11 in Orchard Park, November 16th. Their final primetime game comes week 12. It's another Thursday night football matchup, and the Bills will travel to Houston to take on the Texans on Amazon. Week 13, the end of November, no Thanksgiving, but they are going to Pittsburgh. They take on the Steelers in the late afternoon window at 4:25.
So it's 10 days off to prepare for who's that quarterback for Pittsburgh, Danger? Am I going to be drinking wine?
We have no idea just yet.
No.
Maybe we'll find out tonight at 7:55.
Say that half joking.
Week 14, this is one that I think a lot of Bills fans would say, if there was a complaint, I wish we were getting them earlier in the season. Cincinnati, week 14, again, a late afternoon kickoff of 4:25 from Orchard Park.
But again, it's in Orchard Park. We already knew that was going to be the case. And if you had any gripes, and again, they're minor, okay, Cincinnati in the latter part, okay, as opposed to the earlier, the bye week, a little early for the bye, but okay.
I don't even have a problem with the week 7 bye. I really don't.
No, the way it's laid out, it doesn't matter.
It really doesn't bother me the way it's laid out, and week 7 is going to be fine. Week 15, you're traveling to New England, 1 o'clock kickoff. Week 16, trip to Cleveland.
Ooh, now follow me. That's December 21st. Who's working on the 22nd, 23rd, and 24th? That feels like half of Western New York will be in Cleveland for that game. That feels like, okay, Brown season ticket holder, you're dumping your tickets. Yeah. That will be a home game for the Bills in Cleveland. That's a long holiday weekend for people. Very,
very good point, Gino. That will feel like that stadium could be 50% Buffalo fans when it's all said and done.
More.
Yeah, I like that a lot. The Bills then return week 17. The Eagles are playing the Bills in the late afternoon window, week 17, December 28th, 4:25. So again, we avoided Thanksgiving, Christmas, the international games, the Netflix games, right? You didn't get any of those standalone Peacock games. You're getting 4:25 week 17 against Philadelphia. And again, who knows what the world looks like there or what you're playing for. You wrap the season hosting the Jets week 18.
Yawn. If you need it, it's there. That has all the look of who's going to be the bat. Mike White starting for the Buffalo Bills that day.
No, Josh will get the start. We got to keep the streak alive.
I'm sorry.
He'll get his one snap, and then he'll cede to Mitchell Trubisky or Mike White. Yeah.
Anybody have any incentives? Like Von Miller had to get his one sack last year. I guess we'll learn about that.
We'll take care of those incentives as we need to. So there you go. That is what we believe is the Buffalo Bills 2025 schedule. It becomes official tonight at 8 o'clock.
That is absolutely fantastic. And I don't know, is anybody really upset that the Bills aren't on Thanksgiving or Christmas?
I think the collective scream you heard was the joy and excitement from Bills media knowing that they didn't have to travel for any of those holidays.
Well, yeah, not only that, but like a lot of people just enjoy having the holidays. And I had myself convinced, that standalone game on Peacock on December 27th, that would make a lot of sense. No, the Bills didn't get tapped on the shoulder for that. So why was Josh Allen booked on the Today Show? Was it to promote Baltimore week 1? He was booked and it never came to fruition.
Right. What do you think, Bills fans? 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN. We'll go through it again coming up here in a little bit during Happy Hour, and we're certainly going to get the thoughts of Thad Brown, News 8 sports director, who's scheduled to join us next in the Sports Bar. Talk about what he saw at Bills' rookie minicamp last weekend, start to react a little bit to some of these matchups here for the Buffalo Bills and what looks good. And also happening tonight, by the way, yes, your Rochester Americans are on home ice to start the North Division Final against Laval. Game 1 tonight from the arena just after 7 o'clock. You'll hear the action on the Fan Rochester. We invite you to come out to the arena Friday night as well, as we are going to be broadcasting live from 3 until 7. A little added hour there, a little extra time, a little after hours in the sports bar.
If you were with us yesterday around this time, as we always do on a Tuesday, we talked to Amerks head coach Mike Leone, and we talked nuts and bolts and everything, but I think the bigger takeaway was just his demeanor. He's just relaxed,
loose,
cracking jokes. If he can project that with his guys tonight, because there's every reason. What's the cliche? Gripping the stick, 5-game series, really can't misstep. No, just go out there and play loose tonight.
Dude is so even keel. Like it's shocking how relaxed he comes off. Like unfazed, really, literally unfazed. And I just find him to be fascinating, and to see what he's done with these guys and how they've responded and reacted to him this year. It's hard for me to imagine that there's a setback coming and that they might actually be playing some of their best hockey with their best roster at the right time of year. So we'll hope for something special tonight. Game 1 against Laval. And Thad Brown will be joining us next. We'll talk a little bit more Amerks hockey with the News 8 sports director and get into some Buffalo Bills talk as well. Your calls are always welcome. Again, 866-4326, 585-866, 4FAN.
FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester. Ever wished your smart speaker could provide live sports updates without breaking a sweat? Tell it to play 95.7 The Fan and watch it become your personal sports commentator. The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
The layoff is finally over for the Rochester Americans. First game since May the 1st tonight. Blue Cross Arena. Laval, the opponent, the divisional final. Head coach Mike Leone is ready.
I think everybody's just excited to play. It's been a long time. We're excited. Guys worked really hard to put us in this position. It's a really good opponent. I think everybody just wants to compete, and you can't wait for a puck drop.
Coverage begins at 7 tonight here on the Fan Rochester. We have some dates for the Bills' schedule. Reports are that the Ravens will be the home opener on Sunday Night Football in Week 1. The bye would come on October the 19th. We'll talk to Thad Brown, News 8, coming up next year in the Sports Bar. One of the Bills now, Quentin Moore is signing with Jacksonville. Knicks and Celtics Game 5 tonight. Bottom of the first, Yankees and Seattle are scoreless. Gene Battaglia, the Fan Rochester.
They've raised the bar on Rochester Sports Talk. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
We're back in the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. Excited to have Thad Brown from News 8 on with us as well. Talk about this potential schedule that we were looking at here for the Buffalo Bills, which might set up nicely for a playoff run once again. And Thad, before we talk about the Bills, speaking of playoff runs, the Amherst on the precipice of doing something special here. North Division Final getting underway tonight, Blue Cross Arena. Laval, the opponent in this unbelievable, unprecedented layoff that the team has gone through. And now we finally get to see him back on the ice for Game 1 tonight.
It is weird, man. It doesn't feel like hockey season is still going, even though we've all been talking about it for 2 weeks. But to suddenly play a game now since they haven't played in 13 days, which, to your point, I did the research. It's been 33 years in any pro league that a team has had 33 or 13 days off during a playoff. So, the guys can talk about how, we've done it before, Christmas break, holiday break in college, whatever. This is something that most teams don't ever have to go through. And, I got to figure there's going to be some sort of impact. Now, maybe it's not a big deal, and it could be good. One of the other things that I did in going through the research of teams that have big breaks, in the AHL, any team that's had 11 days off or more in a playoff, there's been 17 of them in the last 100 years or whatever. Of those 17, 10 went on to win the Cup. But of the other 7, 6 lost in the next round. So, either a team is ready to go and rested and it helps, or it just takes them totally out of, what they do and they get bounced. And I think that might be what we're looking at, because this Laval team is really, really good too. They were number 1 in the league for a reason. So there are all kinds of good storylines. I'm just glad we get to finally see some hockey. It's about bleeping time.
Yeah, I'm shocked that it's here. What is this format? First of all, I wish there was a best of 7. It's a developmental league. Okay, they got to go best of 5, but how's that work for a team like Laval? If you lose, you could have fewer gates than the Amherst here. Your thoughts on just this kind of wonky schedule, at least from this divisional round format?
You talking about playing the Amherst getting 2 at home and then going to Laval for 3?
Usually it's Syracuse and Rochester at 2-2-1. This and every other matchup in this round at 2-3.
Yeah, it's primarily a cost-cutting thing. It just it forces or allows teams not to have to travel twice. Now, the Amherst and Laval are 5 hours of a drive, so you could bus it. But if you look through, and I don't have I'm going to call it up in front of my computer right now, but the other matchups are all pretty much flights. I think Hershey and Charlotte,
Abbotsford,
Milwaukee and
Colorado.
Texas. Yeah. So what you're doing, again, the Amherst one you can get away with busing in between if you wanted to, but those other ones are so far away, it'd be a plane. So now you're only taking 1 plane instead of making teams take 2. And then for the best of 7 rounds, they'll do those 2-3-2 for that reason too, to make them not keep going back and forth for 5, 6, and 7 like you'd have to in the NHL. So that's all that's about. Even in the first round, Laval played Cleveland, and Cleveland's obviously a few hours further away, and they did 2-3 in that round, even though the Amherst did 2-1-1-1, and you can do that, or 2-2-1, I'm sorry, because Rochester and Syracuse are so close.
Thad, we know that this roster is stacked. You've got Yuri Kulik, you've got Devin Levi playing the way he's been playing all season long. I wanted to get your impression on first-year head coach Mike Leone. We have the opportunity to talk to him every week, and you know what? I just think he's such a departure from what we became used to with Seth. And I'm not saying that as a negative. He's just a different breed of cat, and it sure seems like this roster, this locker room, really buys into what he's selling.
I totally agree on everything you're saying there, in that this is not – I don't want to say this is the anti-Seth Appert, but this is a significant departure, and I thought so from the first moment I met him back in, the Amerks golf tournament over the summer last year. It's, whereas Seth Appert was kind of like the Pat Riley of the AHL, the hair was ready to go, just consummate, communicator, professional, always in charge. Leone's a little more of a down-to-earth, salt-of-the-earth kind of guy. He's someone who's going to chill in the locker room, talk to the guys. And I'm not saying that's how he is, but that's the image that he presents. And, clearly, look, he's undefeated in the playoffs, so it's got to be working. And the other thing, as much as I think we both are, I don't want to say impressed because, we're one round into a playoff series, but I've certainly liked the same as you, what I've seen so far. But let's see when the adversity hits. Let's see, if they lose tonight and they're down 0-1 with one home game and 3 road games left to go, well, then what do we get from Mike Leone? It's one thing to look at a guy who's kind of, cruised to a playoff spot and won the first round in a sweep where, the goalie hasn't given up a goal in 156 minutes. There are a lot of people that are good coaching that kind of team. What happens when adversity hits? Because, if it's going to be Laval, and if the Amherst get past them, it'll probably be Hershey after that. There's going to be some tough going. That's when we're really going to find out about what Mike Leone is as a coach.
Yeah, Thad Brown, News 8, Game 1 tonight we'll have here on the Fan Rochester. It's such a busy night here, Thad, because you got Knicks Celtics, certainly, and then you have the NFL schedule, and today is not like, other years. It's the same as other years where we're getting leaks, we're getting, reports of some of these dates. Let's just start here with the Bills schedule. Your reaction to, hey, Thad, you don't have to worry about the Bills playing on Thanksgiving or Christmas Day.
That is all that matters in my world. I mean, if I can get my holidays free, that's a win. I don't care about anything else. You can give me a 4-game road trip. You can send me back and forth from Brazil to Madrid to, Kansas City. I don't care. If the Bills don't play Christmas and Thanksgiving, then the schedule's a win. And it really, as popular a product as the Bills are, and as much as the NFL seems to want to drive Christmas as a new, standalone football day or an important football day, every year the Bills don't get scheduled on Christmas feels like stealing. And, I think at some point it's going to happen. Now, maybe because the Chiefs really want that game or that day and they got it again this year, maybe they don't want to take 2 AFC powers and put them on the same day. I don't know. I'm just, kind of throwing stuff out there. But from the Bills' point of view, not playing on Christmas, man, I am super happy.
Thad, looking at what we believe is going to be the schedule, when you kind of gather all of the leaks that are out there and all the reports that have already occurred, man, this schedule looks so favorable for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, there are little nitpicky things. If you want to say the bye might be too early in Week 7, or you wish you could have played Cincinnati earlier in the year, I view this as a ceiling of a 2-loss team and maybe a floor of a 5-loss team when you consider that they're really, just on paper, isn't really a gauntlet like we've seen in years past.
Yeah, they don't have the road schedule this year, and this is even before we saw the order in which they were in. There were not many teams that the Bills were going to play on the road that you really were intimidated by. It's really just probably Houston and Pittsburgh, and if you think anybody in the division, could be scrappy just because it's the division game. The home games are obviously different. You got Cincinnati, you got Baltimore, you got Philly, you have the Chiefs, obviously. So there are certainly some landmines in there. And, I mean, I know you're saying 5 losses in the floor. I could see the Bills being a 10-7, 11-6 team. It's not impossible. There are, again, a group of teams on there. I mean, the team that went, 10-7 a couple years ago lost to the Jets and Patriots. And I think both those division teams, and the Dolphins too, will be enough of a pain in the neck to be not the walkover they were last year. But to your point, yeah, I think Bills fans and the team should be pretty excited how this lays out. The unofficial league schedule, you open at home against Baltimore. Tough game for sure. But after that, Jets on the road, then a 3-game homestand, Dolphins, Saints, Patriots, Atlanta on the road, who, maybe they'll be tough, then the bye, then Carolina. I mean, if the Bills win that home game against Baltimore, 7-0 is very much in play for this team heading into that Chiefs game. Now, look, the second half of the schedule, Chiefs, Dolphins, Bucks, Texans, Steelers, Bengals. That's a tough run. It's not impossible to win some games in there, but especially with the Miami game and with 4 of those or 3 of those on the road, that's that'll be kind of the gauntlet, if you will, of the schedule. But I like the fact that the Bills, you open with a big name team, you open at home, you play 4 of your first 5 at home. Your bye is week 7. I mean, the Bills only have 2 road trips before the end of October, before week 8. So there's an opportunity here for this team to get rolling right off the bat.
With that, even if the Bills lose once, right, heading into the game against Kansas City, and say Kansas City's undefeated, you take care of business against the Chiefs, then you are in the catbird seat. Your thoughts here on does this also lay out for, hey, it's not just about winning the division. It's actually getting that number 1 seed, something that Buffalo, in this era of Sean McDermott and Josh Allen, they haven't yet to accomplish.
Yeah, and that should be the goal for the regular season because, last year when we looked at the division, it looked like the Dolphins and the Jets were real contenders. Didn't turn out that way. This year, though, although I think the floor of the division is better. I think the Jets are better. I think the Patriots could be a lot better. I don't think there is a legitimate contender to really take the division title from the Bills. I would be stunned, outside of a Josh Allen injury, if the Bills are not the AFC East champs again. So that makes the goal the 1 seed. And I'll tell you what, guys, right this second, the Chiefs offseason hasn't blown me away. They did use a first-round pick on a tackle. I thought they needed to address the offensive line a little more. I think the weapons group is better, but this is not Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in his prime. To me, I think the team that's the biggest threat for the number 1 seed is Baltimore. I think that, this is still a team that's close to the stacked machine that they were last year. Unless Derrick Henry falls off a cliff, their run game is going to be ridiculous. And it's not just about Lamar and Derrick Henry. It's what they do schematically. It's what they do with the offensive line. All those pieces should not be changing for the most part. So, you want to talk about having an inside track to the number 1 seed. To me, I don't know if it's about week 9. And I'm sure I shouldn't be overlooking the Chiefs. To me, it's about winning that first game, that game against Baltimore, to open the season.
And back to Kansas City, I mean, to the point we made earlier, this is going to be a wary team. They're going to Brazil week 1. They're going to play Thanksgiving. They're playing on Christmas. I mean, they are getting the same primetime treatment that the Bills are getting. They're just getting it more spread out through the season where the Bills feel like their primetime schedule and by the way, a 3-game homestand at the beginning of the season before they hit their bye.
Yeah, and look, the Chiefs, I think, at least when it comes to the primetime part of it, they're probably used to that. And the Bills will have, nice thing about the Bills is that once you get to the bye in week 7, they're playing Sunday afternoon for 8 or 9 of the next 10.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that's an opportunity to really get into a nice routine. You got the Thursday game in the middle, so that'll, be a little bit of an interruption. But, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good things to like about, this schedule. But I think your point about the Chiefs being a little beaten up, this is a team that's been in the Super Bowl the last 3 years, so that's a lot of games. And at some point that's going to take a toll. And that's another reason why, now look, Kansas City's going to probably be in the playoffs, almost certainly. And when you get to January, I don't care, what Kansas City has, how beat up they are, they're the team that's going to be the pain in the neck. But until then, we're talking about getting the 1 seed, and I don't see the Chiefs as a primary, foe for that, for all the reasons we talked about, for what they've done in the offseason, for what their schedule has been like and could be like. To me, I think it's Buffalo and Baltimore at the top.
Yeah, we're talking to Thad Brown, Sports Director, News 8. Another way to kind of look at it is through the lens of, okay, is Josh Allen the better quarterback? And in the majority of these, he is, and he would be in a game Week 13 in Pittsburgh. Who's the quarterback on the other side for that game, Thad?
Probably Aaron Rodgers. I still don't think Pittsburgh rolls into the season with Mason Rudolph. I wouldn't totally rule out a Kirk Cousins trade, but the Steelers, I think, have realized that they are kind of in. We talk about quarterback purgatory. The Steelers are somewhere worse than that. I don't know where that is, but where they've been with the quarterback and trying to, take a pretty good roster and put something functional at the top of that has I think in some ways the Steelers have kind of done it to themselves. The Kenny Pickett selection probably was a little bit of a reach, and we know that now, obviously. But they're in a weird spot where they just don't have the guy to run the show, when they have everything else. And I don't think you want to at least give yourself a chance with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who is he what he was 3 years ago as an MVP? No. Is he better than Mason Rudolph? I think for darn sure. So I think there's somebody better coming down the pike. I just don't know who it's going to be.
Thad, when we look at the schedule, talk about quarterback purgatory, it's fair to believe that when we get to Week 16, the Bills have to travel to Cleveland, that the Bills will be in far greater shape for their season as far as how they're progressing towards a postseason berth versus where Cleveland might be by Week 16. And Gene and I were having some fun thinking that might end up being a 10th home game for the Buffalo Bills if things play out the way we think they could.
Potentially, yeah. I think Cleveland would have to be pretty bad. I mean, the Browns have a pretty strong fan base. We'll see. The other thing, too, with Cleveland, it won't take much to get them. Like, if Shedder Sanders looks reasonable, assuming he's even a starter, say weeks 10 through 13, then Cleveland fans will be excited about that. I mean, the bar is not high for them, as it shouldn't be. So I'm not going to just assume the Bills will have an extra home game. Then they'll have a number of those throughout the year, as they always do. But yeah, the potential is there for that to be Buffalo at 13-2 or whatever, and Cleveland at 3-something, and for it to be almost an organized scrimmage for the Bills.
Thad Brown from News 8. We also have this being the last year of Highmark here, and Thad, my question is hey, they didn't do this with the Rochester Red Wings back in the day, but look at that new stadium and all these pictures coming out of it. That thing's going to be done before the end of this season, the way it's going.
It looks that way. Yeah, I know. I'm sure that there are a number of, the technology that goes into a facility like that these days is probably more than most of us can imagine. So yeah, will the building and the seats be in? Sure. But will it be Wi-Fi ready? Will it be able to accommodate the 60 cameras and the goal line cam and all the other wiring that goes in? I'm not sure about that. Will the grass even be grown, for that reason? So I'm sure there's lots of good reasons why, not to want to use the stadium. But yeah, one of the fun things about covering that team every week is seeing weekly progress updates every time I drive by that stadium. And, I'll look forward, I haven't been back in a while, obviously. I'll look forward to, going out maybe the next couple of weeks or certainly in the fall to see where it's at. But everything seems to be on course. A little bit of a cost overrun from a few months ago, but not to be expected, and very excited to see what the final product looks like.
And Thad, we haven't had a chance to talk to you since the NFL draft. I wanted to get your take on the Bills rookie class, and if you had any thoughts from rookie camp last weekend.
Yeah, nothing big on rookie camp. It's guys in shorts and helmets. There's not a whole lot to take, especially when, there are no other professionals on the field. But in terms of who the Bills drafted, I thought the Bills did what they had to do. You address defense, you add some speed with the first-round pick, Maxwell Hairston, then you hit D-line over and over and over. This draft class was not going to have stars, and that's the rough part for the Bills, because what they really need is that elite A player that can change things. And even picking at 30, even if there were stars in this draft, you probably weren't going to get that. And this draft was not full of them. So what you do instead is you give yourself multiple opportunities. You, as Brandon Beane says all the time, create competition. Try and, if you have so many guys out there that have talent, perhaps that forces or it lifts someone into becoming a more elite player. Or you just, give yourself more lottery tickets to perhaps, hit that big winner. And I thought that was the best strategy. TJ Sanders is a guy that fits the Bills, taller, good pass rusher. I like Deion Walker as a potential run stuffer. Landon Jackson to me was a good big swing, edge rusher. So the Bills checked all the boxes, which is what Brandon Beane has always been good at. If you had a list of moves that make sense, if that was a stat somewhere, the Bills would lead that almost every offseason. They just do the right thing, the thing that's logical, the thing that's going to help the team. The problem is that at this point they're like a 9.7 out of 10, and to get that extra 0.3, you need a Joey Bosa in his prime. You need, someone to come out of a second or a third round to hit big, and it's so hard to do. It's, to hold Brandon Beane's feet to the fire about, well, why haven't you drafted an all-pro? It ain't that easy, and that was what the Bills were up against this offseason, probably have been up against the last few years, and it was just not an offseason where it seemed like that guy was going to be available, so take as many swings as he can.
Thad, last one for me, and the NBA has been a lot of fun this spring. What's your prediction for the final?
Oh, man. Right this second, Oklahoma City winning last night to me was a big deal. That was a team that had the talent. They've got the potential A1, driver player in Shai. It was just a matter of, can you be mature enough to beat a team like Denver in the playoffs? Now, look, the Nuggets can win the next two and still advance anyway. But, when you look around at who's left, probably the Knicks, up 3-1 with no Tatum. Indiana's already advanced. Golden State without Curry for who knows. I'm not a huge Minnesota fan, although I feel like I might be dismissing them. And Denver's obviously won a championship, so they're legit. But to me, the team that has the A1 talent to be a champ is Oklahoma City. It's just a matter of, are they mature enough to get it done? I will say this. I'd be stunned if one of the East teams wins. I don't believe in the Knicks in a big, long series against a really top-level team. I know they were up 3-1 against Boston, and the Tatum injury didn't have anything to do with winning Game 4. They were also down by 20 in the first 3 games. And, games 1 and 2, the Knicks winning both of those is a borderline miracle. So Oklahoma City, Denver, even Minnesota, I'd almost prefer the Western team. And I don't buy into Indiana at all as a championship-level team. Sure, a great run against Cleveland, but, Cleveland was kind of the Eastern version of OKC in that you got to show me you can do it before I believe in you. So give me a Western team to win. And if Oklahoma City finishes off Denver, I like them a lot.
Thad, talk about your coverage here. We got the Amherst getting their playoff series underway against Laval. We've got the schedule released tonight. We know you're on top of all of it tonight.
Oh, man. I mean, I don't know if there's enough time in the show. I think they're going to have to do an extra half hour just for me. But, yeah, we'll have Rachel Liebert is live over at Blue Cross Arena. She's got reports at 5 and 6. She'll also have a wrap-up of the game. We'll have plenty of highlights tonight at 11. And then when it comes to the Bills' schedule, my reaction will be on the website later tonight. So, I mean, what isn't going on today? It's an awesome day of sports.
Dad, appreciate the time. Enjoy this great night ahead. Thanks so much, bud.
Hey, always happy to be on with you guys.
Appreciate it, Thad. Thad Brown, News 8 sports director, stopping by the sports bar. Yeah, Thad didn't push back on the schedule either. I mean, that schedule I feel like it's not confirmed. It won't be confirmed until 8 o'clock, but I think it's kind of been accepted that this is going to be the Bills' schedule that we've been discussing all afternoon.
Boy, it's sometimes like, okay, as we're kind of absorbing it, digesting it, I like it more and more.
Yeah.
I mean, what is there not to like? If you're going to complain about, for the first 6 games are in prime time.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah,
Good.
that's fine.
Good.
Yeah, and you know what? After the bye week, you have one primetime game. That's it. A Thursday night in Houston.
It just looks like there's so many opportunities on this schedule for them to stack wins. And I'll say it. Today was, after seeing the order and knowing who they were going to play was one thing. Seeing the order and how it lays out for the Bills, it's really hard for me to see anything worse than 5 losses. And I know Thad's pushed back a little bit on that. Hey, look, they could be a 10-7 team. That could absolutely happen.
Sure.
The divisional games are always tough. Divisional games, you never know. I'm going beyond that at this point with this team, with this quarterback, with where they are, with what they're expected to accomplish. I think 5 wins is the floor. I think the ceiling is, or 5 losses, I should say, is the floor. I think the ceiling for this team is the 1 seed and a 2-loss season, a 2-loss campaign. And when you see how it stacks up, how it looks, it's doable. It's really doable. I've yet to see a Bills fan not excited about this schedule. With
nitpicky things.
Nitpicky things. That's really it. And if you want to talk about a team that has a gripe, the Giants. The Giants' schedule is not favorable for Brian Daboll and Joe Shane. I am nervous that they're not going to make it to their bye week, which is week 14.
So how do you mitigate that if you're the coach and you're the GM? You're not putting Jackson Dart in there with the tough schedule. You're going to, trot out the veterans. You'll have one fun game at Jameis. Russell Wilson will do his thing. You will fart your way to 4 wins. And
I don't think Jameis is on this team. I think it's Russ. I think it's Jackson Dart.
And then
I think it's Tommy DeVito. I think Jameis finds maybe they find a trade partner. I don't know. Or they just release him at the end of training camp. But Washington, Dallas, Kansas City, Chargers, their first 4 weeks. Point to a win. I mean, maybe the divisional game surprises some people. They're both on the road. They're both early window kickoffs. You have Kansas City Sunday night, week 3.
Back to the Bills' schedule here, Danger. What's the best road trip for a Bills fan from Rochester? Because you've got some possibilities here. Okay, let's start off with Carolina because I'm just thinking that's not going to be a tough ticket to get in Charlotte. It's just not. It's kind of a so-so fan base. But then you get Miami in November. If you can swing that, that's fantastic. But I'm just going back to a couple short drives. Pittsburgh on the Sunday of Thanksgiving week. You could make that nice long weekend, maybe take Monday off. And then Cleveland on December 21st. Now, Thad brought up a good point. Like, who knows? Maybe Shador. Maybe there's some magic. You don't know. But if the Browns are going to be the Browns and season ticket holders are dumping their tickets because they don't want to watch Joe Flacco or whoever, I would get it. I would think that would be a really fun way to start your holidays.
I have a feeling we're going to be hearing this a lot through the course of this season. Boy, Bills fans, they just travel so well. They've taken over Hard Rock Stadium. They've taken over.
What is it, Carolina? Bank of America Field? Whatever it is.
Yeah. Right. We'll dive into this schedule week by week, game by game, next during happy hour. Love your reaction as well at 866-4326. A couple of comments on the YouTube channel. Appreciate that as well. We're streaming live from 3 until 6 every afternoon at The Fan Rochester on both YouTube and Twitch. Like and subscribe while you are there. You can always hear us in the free-to-download Odyssey app, even on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan.
You're listening to the HD2 Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Finally, after a 13-day layoff, the Rochester Americans are on the ice tonight. It's game one of the divisional final. Laval, the opponent. Head coach Mike Leone on this Laval offense.
They're a really good cycling team below the circles. A lot of their plays, we call them resets, where they go below the goal line and finding space, and they make a lot of plays into the slot. Like soft areas in the slot, they're really good at finding those areas.
Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks will have your call tonight. Game one here on the Fan Rochester. We have what we believe to be the Buffalo Bills 2025 schedule. More to come up here in happy hour. The Bills open up on a Sunday night at home against the Ravens. One other Bills note, Quentin Morris signing today with Jacksonville. Knicks and Celtics are tonight. It's game 5. We are in the third. Yankees up. Actually, it's scoreless Yankees in Seattle. Gene Battaglia, the Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
It is NFL schedule release day.
The Chiefs going to Dallas on Thanksgiving afternoon.
What is the marquee game that you are looking forward to the most?
Mike Danger.
Bold prediction for 2025. They're going to go undefeated at home again. The final season of Highmark. The Bills will go undefeated again.
Gene Battaglia.
Bees are good for the environment. Not my house.
FBs. No one's got it right so far.
The Rochester Americans who start their series against Laval tonight. It's the North Division final. It begins at Blue Cross Arena at 7 o'clock.
It's Mikhail Granlund! A hat trick! Let him fly!
The Pacers eliminated the Cavs. The Thunder, they are on the verge of closing out the Nuggets.
I think we're looking at the Timberwolves' next finals, by the way, and I'm here for it.
I don't know if you know, pickleball is quite the sport. It's emerging, Gino. Everybody's playing pickleball nowadays.
That's why it's good for sports talk radio, that's for sure.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
An unbelievable night of sports action ahead. Let's get there. Happy hour starts now in the Sports Bar. Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. Thanks for making this part of your ride home. Listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app. Maybe you're watching on our stream, YouTube and Twitch at The Fan Rochester. Like and subscribe to our channels there, and you'll always know when we go live. You can even get us on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. Gino, I believe we have the Buffalo Bills 2025 schedule in front of us.
Yeah, and when we read this to you, you're going to say, wow, this isn't so bad. The way we're going to lay this out. Let's just kind of break this up into chunks. Now, telling you right off the top, and maybe if you had any complaint, I think it's a minor one, the bye is going to come October 19th. Okay, first of all, it's a beautiful time of year here in Western New York, so I wouldn't mind going down and hitting a winery or whatever on Sunday the 19th, but I digress, Danger, because if you can get by Baltimore week 1, that's going to be Sunday Night Football, there is absolutely no reason to think that the Buffalo Bills can't win their next 5 games, and then including the week after the bye, they should be headed into the game against Kansas City with a 6-1 record at worst, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. In fact, there's a very good argument to be made that if they can beat Baltimore week 1 at home on Sunday Night Football, that they would be a 7-0 team taking on Kansas City week 9 at home in the late afternoon window. It sets up real nice for the Buffalo Bills. Let's go week by week, game by game here. And, I'm going to continue to say through the course of the offseason heading into the preseason that the way this schedule lays out for the Bills, the ceiling is 2 losses and the 1 seed. I mean, it lays out. If you're not going to do it this year with this schedule, then I don't know you're going to get another opportunity. With Josh Allen in his prime, the final year at Highmark Stadium, it just feels like it's setting up for the Buffalo Bills, starting with Sunday Night Football, week 1 in prime time. The Bills hosting the Baltimore Ravens in a rematch of the divisional round playoffs from last year.
That is going to be sky high. And the thing that would be concerning is Baltimore, do they think the Bills beat them, or do they think they gave that away with the Lamar Jackson turnovers and the drop 2-point conversion? You better believe that in Baltimore, okay, this is what we want going up to Baltimore. We joined earlier by Thad Brown, who said, hey, it's not the Chiefs. It's really the Ravens who are the top contender for being the number 1 overall seed this year in the AFC. It's hard to dispute that. And the way John Harbaugh likes to prime his team in the preseason. He takes it uber seriously. The Ravens nearly pulled that one off last year on the opening Thursday night in Kansas City.
I just remember that week 1 game against Kansas City last year and thinking to myself, for it being week 1, this is a lot more physical than I think I remember week 1 games being in the NFL. A lot of times week 1 feels like it's still the preseason and guys are still kind of feeling out their role. That's not what you got out of the Ravens and Chiefs week 1 last year. That was a punch them in the mouth, kind of just back and forth. And I would expect the same thing against the Bills. So if I have a concern about that week 1 matchup, yes, Buffalo beat Baltimore in the postseason in Buffalo earlier this year. But can you match the physicality early in the season while you're 100% healthy, supposedly, the healthiest you're going to be all regular season long, because you know Baltimore's going to come in and they're going to look to play real physical week 1. That's tough. If you start the season 0-1 with a loss, I'm going to give you a reason why you shouldn't feel like the season is over. I know you wouldn't if they started 0-1. Nobody should feel that way. But the schedule moving forward there, when you consider 4 out of their first 6 games are in prime time, and you have a 3-game homestand sandwiched in those first 6 weeks as well, it sets up nicely for you to go into your bye week 7 with at worst one loss. Week 2, you go to the Jets, play the Jets at the Meadowlands, 1 o'clock kickoff. Then you host Miami week 3 for Thursday night football. Host the Saints week 4. And you have your 1 p.m. kickoff, Bills fans, in Orchard Park. Then you're back in primetime week 5 with the Patriots coming in, the AFC East getting the Sunday Night Football treatment week 5 in Orchard Park before the Bills once again showcase their team on primetime Monday Night Football at Atlanta week 6 heading into the week 7 bye.
So that's 4 of the first 6 weeks you're in prime time.
Yeah.
I think there's one downside as we kind of look ahead here, because I think October is great for Buffalo Bills football, and you're only going to get 1 game at home in the month of October, and it's on Sunday night. So no Sunday afternoon October football games. It's kind of a downer, but it's certainly worth it, Danger, the way this lays out, because then after the bye on October 19th, you go to Carolina. So after Baltimore, your next 6 opponents all had losing records last year. And then you get Kansas City.
Losing records didn't make the postseason. All of those teams. None of them are playoff teams. All of them had losing records.
Not even close. Maybe Atlanta. And they were 8-9, but nobody took them seriously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you get Kansas City week 9. It's a late afternoon game in Orchard Park, 4:25 kickoff, November 2nd. Travel to Miami. There's a lot of Bills fans like to go down south when it gets cold. November 9th, week 10, is when the Bills face the Dolphins at Hard Rock. That's a 1 o'clock kickoff. Week 11, you're back in Orchard Park, hosting the Bucs. 1 o'clock kickoff, November 16th.
The weather can go either way that direction.
That'll right.
That'll be fun.
Then you have your final primetime game that is scheduled as of right now. That would be the Thursday night game, Week 12, on Prime at Houston.
So you say that, but if Josh Allen is playing and they're not flexing the butt, if Houston is like terrible, if you're thinking, okay, let's flex out of that and make that a Sunday game, I don't see that happening. I think Josh Allen in Houston will draw numbers. I think Josh Allen in Atlanta on a Monday night will draw numbers. As long as 17 is good, I wouldn't worry about anything being flexed here.
Week 13, after a 10-day layoff after that Thursday night game in Houston, you travel to Pittsburgh, late afternoon, 4:25 kickoff against the Steelers.
That's the Sunday of Thanksgiving weekend, and that's a fun little trip if you want to make it down there.
I hear the Buffalo Bills. I hear Bills Mafia travels well. That's what I hear. Cincinnati is not week 1. It's week 14. That's December 7th, late afternoon kickoff once again. To me, that could go one of 2 ways, right? Like we say, we want Cincinnati early in the season because it takes them a second to get going. They always seem to be playing better late in the season. What they're a dysfunctional team. We see how they operate, and who knows what they will be week 14. They could be in the hunt. They could be farting around. They could be
totally out of it.
They could be totally out of it.
Yeah.
Week 14. We really don't know. I mean, you want to assume that Joe Burrow is a top 5 quarterback, and I can't really fight you on that. You have 2 top 5 wide receivers on that offense. I can't fight you on that. You don't have anything on defense, especially if Trey Hendrickson gets moved. So the Bengals is a big TBD for me, but that's week 14 in the late afternoon. Week 15 and week 16 sees the team on the road consecutive weeks. You're in New England week 15 for an early kickoff. You're in Cleveland week 16 for a 1 o'clock kickoff as well.
Yeah, and that Cleveland game, December 21st. Okay, try to imagine where the Browns are going to be. Are the Browns going to be this fun story where you got rookie quarterbacks, and or are they just going to fall apart and everybody's going to be dumping their tickets? That feels like, wow, let's start our holiday week off right in Cleveland. How many thousands of Bills fans will be buying tickets up for that one? Again, another 1 o'clock game, Sunday afternoon, I should say, at Cleveland on December 21st.
Yeah, that is interesting, though. Imagine what the world looks like when you get to December 21st and the Bills are traveling to Cleveland. You could assume Cleveland might not be playing for anything other than trying guys out. Like, if Shedeur is out there, I think Browns fans would want to see that, you know. Philadelphia, the champs, come to town week 17. And again, you try to imagine what the world looks like. Maybe the Eagles have something locked up. Maybe the Bills have something locked up at that point.
Yeah, you can write to us on X, our handle, The Fan Rochester, or anybody watching on YouTube. Leave a comment there. As Kristen, Barkley in the snow could be tough. Oh, yeah. No, not could be. He would be tough. But again, do the Eagles have everything kind of wrapped up at that point? Is Saquon healthy at that point? Also writing in on YouTube, Speech Girl. What are the Chiefs' final 4 games? Don't know. Do not know.
Well, here's what we do know about the Chiefs. Whereas we were worried about the Bills having to play Christmas or that standalone Peacock game or Thanksgiving, they're clear of all of that.
Love that.
The Chiefs are involved. They're Brazil, Thanksgiving, Christmas. Yeah, the Chiefs are going
Monday night in Jacksonville, Monday night in Washington.
The Chiefs are going to be weathered and wary. They've played a lot of football the last few years.
Yeah, because not only did they get the 5 primetime games, well, Thanksgiving isn't a primetime game. Christmas Day, although that is one of their primetime games, they have a lot working against them, Kansas City. And you know what? Too bad. Gosh, things I'd like to know. That Chiefs, that's got to be a protected game by CBS, right? 425.
Yeah.
I would think Bills would be protected at 425 too by CBS.
Yeah. Season wraps up week 18. You're hosting the Jets.
Great. If you need it, it's there. Bills fans, you're not excited. 866-4326. This is a schedule that says, hey, do you want the 1 seed? And I know there's this contrarian view, right, Danger, that says, oh, this is so overblown, does not matter, boring, I don't care. And I don't want to call anybody out by name, and that's fine if you feel that way. However, this is really important to this sport because if I told you, hey, after Baltimore, the Bills get Kansas City, and then they actually will be taking on the Eagles, and then you would feel completely different about this schedule. The fact that they spaced out these 4 really tough opponents, being the Ravens, the Bengals, the Chiefs, and the defending Super Bowl champion Eagles over the course of a season, it just flows so nicely for this team. And then you add on the fact that we already knew this going in, the travel's not that bad. Like a Thursday night, you got to get down to Houston. Okay, can you suck that up? I'm sure you could. They didn't put the Bills on a Thursday night this year down in Miami, Danger.
Yeah.
Miami's got to come up here on a short
That's
week.
right. I found the guy that you're talking about. It's Andrew Brandt. Andrew Brandt putting out unpopular opinion. I just don't get interest in the NFL schedule release. We know the matchups. We know the teams that will get a lot of primetime games. We know the teams that won't. It's just releasing the dates. Only the NFL can read names and read dates to great interest.
That's wrong. Andrew, you must have no friends or family. Because instantly, you think of the people you watch games with. And I'm thinking of my family. And there was one year, okay, you know what? Thanksgiving Day, the Bills are in Detroit. We're going to make sure that we're all eating at this certain time. If you're one that loves to go on the road for one game, hey, absolutely. What should we make as the trip this year? Do you think we could all swing a November trip to Miami? That was right when the weather's turning bad here. That might not be a bad thing.
It's just it's a guy that covers the game. That it's work. If it's work, then you view it through a different lens.
Right.
I mean, like, even though it is work, you still get to do this, man. You still get to cover the NFL. You still get to cover a team. Like, that's not something to be like, I don't know. Really? You get to do this. My phone's been blowing up all day. Every leak that happens around the Bears schedule. I got a buddy who's don't tempt me. Week 1 against the Vikings on Monday night. Hold me back. Hold me back. Oh, I don't know that I can. I don't know that I can hold you back. I mean, that's the excitement of today. It's looking at it. It's planning it. It's saying this is something on the calendar that can get us through the mundane of our day-to-day, and it really, truly be something that we can look forward to later on this year. I'm all for it. I think it's great. So there you go, Bills fans. There's your schedule at 866-4326. If you have any reaction, 866-4FAN.
We got to also this other hockey game going on tonight. Nathan writing in, let's bleeping go, boys. Said it last year, and I think it's even more true this year. Why not us? Nobody outside the Flower City is picking the Amerks in this series. See you guys Friday. I wouldn't read too much into that, Nathan, because I couldn't give you an honest opinion on Colorado and Abbotsford or Milwaukee and Texas. Like, if you had to pick, you're just going to take the team that had the better regular season record, I suppose. I think all 8 of these teams, I think we could say they're all good. The importance of tonight doesn't feel like a game 1. Game 1 in any other series, okay, we're going to kind of feel this. If we don't get it, we'll get it tomorrow. No. The team that loses tonight is going to be feeling it just a little bit for tomorrow.
Agreed.
night.
Yeah, and I think that while the AHL may be a bit top-heavy and it's a little bit chalky, yeah, you can't, at this time of year, you can't count out a team just because they were the 2 seed and they weren't the 1 seed. Or, home ice is really not home ice in a 2-3. It could be over in 3 games with the top seed getting 1 home game.
So, Amerks Laval, this is the first series. As long as this wait was, we're the first up. Everybody else is starting on Friday here. Can you imagine if this was the first wrap up? We had to do this all over again.
Oh, man.
I swear, Danger, this is going to wrap up. You're going to be over in Europe, buddy. And, okay, welcome to the Calder Cup Finals.
I'm telling you, that would be something. And, well, we'll see how it plays out. But we're looking forward, Tyler, to hanging out Friday night at the arena. We'll be seeing you there for Game 2, broadcasting live starting at 3. We'll be in the upper atrium. Just when you walk in and you see the team store there to your right, look up and you'll kind of see where we're located. Make sure you stop out, say hi. Be good to see you. And we'll get ready for Friday night's Game 2. Wondering what the world looks like here 24 hours from now.
Yeah, that is going to be a lot of fun. Friday, hope you can join us if you're going out tonight. Just be kind of loud. And tonight's going to be one of those nights that, okay, maybe hopefully we saved you some time listening to our show, that you know the Bills schedule and you jotted everything down. But maybe, there's another team that you follow that you're going to be, all right, so you just kind of look that up during one of the intermissions, or you're watching Knicks Celtics on your phone at the Amerks game tonight.
I'm going to continue the tradition of watching schedule release videos from all the teams.
Oh, that too.
Yeah. I mean, the schedule release videos that get released on social media have really been elevated here over the last couple of years. Chargers going in, always the team to beat.
So the Chargers did like an anime thing for 2 years, and then they did The Sims last year. And that's one way you can kind of, all right, we need to kind of build a fan base and make that's what they become known for. Like,
that's right.
Make us laugh. And there's little, what do they call them there? Presents, little things along the way. That
Easter eggs.
Easter eggs,
yeah.
Thank you. You got to watch it, and if you don't catch it, and then somebody will break it down like, oh, how did I miss that?
Yeah, it'll be fun. That'll be, once I get situated, big night tonight in the Danger household, Chateau Dangereux. We've got my daughter's confirmation tonight. So confirmation, mass, and then after mass, situated, see what the world looks like, check in on the Knicks, check in on the Celtics, check in on the Amerks, check in on the schedule release videos for all the teams. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's. I think the Bills are always kind of like a C plus type of effort.
Well, last year it was Josh Allen. At the construction site, right?
and Tasker kind of popping up, because he plays that character every once in a while.
Yeah, they have their work cut out for them. Chargers game to lose, really. I mean, the Chargers every year just they set a high bar. But we'll recap those tomorrow at some point as well. Mentioned New York and Boston, so it could be over for the Celtics tonight in Boston if the Knicks can close this one out. PJ Glasser joined us earlier. He's on Boston. I think a lot of people are on Boston. Like, don't count out the Celtics just because Tatum's out. They're going to be motivated to continue to play, even without Jason Tatum.
Games 1 and 2 were so strange in this series. The fact that Game 2 played out almost the exact same way. Well, if you're Boston tonight, you hit your shots, you send it back to the Garden. The thing that's suspicious to me is the 4.5. That just looks too tempting, Danger. That's it. That's it for Boston. Because if Boston wins, if it's follow me on this, it's going one of two ways. Everything we've seen, it's going to be a close game. If it's a close game, I like the Knicks. If Boston does what they're supposed to do, they'll be hitting their shots, and the Knicks will, all right, we'll see you in the Garden on Madison Square coming up in Game 6. So that's why it's a little suspicious to me that, okay, the line is at 4.5. The Celtics, no, I don't think if they're going to win this one, it's going to be handily.
I've come to the conclusion after falling down a Knicks fan celebration rabbit hole on social media last night, I've come to the conclusion that if the Knicks win the NBA title, New York City will burn. That NYPD just cannot control Knicks fans if they win an NBA final.
So let me just point this out, because one of the teams that had a really, really long drought, and it's crazy to think, seeing there were only 6 teams, were the New York Rangers.
Yeah.
And this was way back in the day, because the Islanders won 4 cups, and Ranger fans kind of looked down like, okay, yeah, Suburban Knights, whatever. And then what did, you had 2 chances. You had Pot Fans Sucks, okay, by Ranger fans, and then everybody else, 1940.
Yep.
Being the last year that, and they thought, my gosh, that's such a long time, right? That was 54 years. The Knicks are at 52, Danger.
That's right.
52 years since their last championship.
That's right.
What? What happened in the city when the Rangers finally broke through and you had that 7-game series against the Devils? You beat Pavel Bure in Game 7. It was fantastic. And I'm not a Ranger fan, but I felt for the city and Messier and just the look of happiness and how the city celebrated that. Now think of that 10 times more if the Knicks ever do this.
For real. Some of the scenes outside of Madison Square Garden, apocalyptic. It's going to be awesome if it happens. A lot can happen between now and the final series, obviously. But falling down that rabbit hole last night had me laughing. I'm like, my God, these Knicks fans are hungry. They're savages. They're ready, man. I don't know that they can be contained. I don't know that Knicks fans can be contained moving forward.
The NHL got their unexpected win with the 4 Nations tournament that, that lined up perfectly. This is the NBA's opportunity. If the Knicks get to the final, then all the other stuff that we talked about in the regular season, people have just a positive view of this league heading into the offseason.
Minnesota can dispatch of Golden State tonight at home. That's the late game, tonight's NBA postseason doubleheader. In the Stanley Cup playoffs, PJ likes both home teams tonight. Toronto looking to get back on top in their series. Now, this would be a pivotal Game 5, Gino.
Oh, you can only say pivotal if it's 2-2, so it's 2-2.
It is a pivotal Game 5. Vegas at home tonight looking to stay alive in their series against Edmonton as well. PJ picking the Leafs and also going with Golden Knights. And, of course, we'll be here tomorrow to react to all of it. Let's get to a round of shots next on the Fan.
Yeah, as some things coming up in shots here. Danger, there was one team that has been laying the groundwork here for months about Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they did it in such a way that it'd be really hard to pop them on tampering, but I'm going to lay this out and then, okay, like this is where I see Antetokounmpo going this offseason as people are starting to connect some dots here. We will set you up again for tonight. NBA expansion on the horizon here. We'll tell you what the next steps are for that. And what Scotty Scheffler did today. You want to talk about brass? He's going to win this thing after pulling this move today.
Yeah, you pull off a move like this, you're showing extreme confidence, almost to the point where other golfers are going to look at you like they used to look at Tiger, like, oh God, we've got problems. He's got a different level of swag coming into the tournament. We'll get to a round of shots, and don't forget about Last Call, where you can have the final word in the sports bar. Join us at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
Let Maggie and Perloff save the day. Listen to 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester weekday mornings. Because who needs more sleep when you can have sports excitement? The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
As the team would say, GITFO, the Amherst. Game 1 tonight against the Laval Rocket, Blue Cross Arena. Hey, Coach Mike Leone's ready.
I think everybody's just excited to play. It's been a long time. We're excited. Guys who worked really hard to put us in this position. It's a really good opponent. I think everybody just wants to compete, and you can't wait for puck drop.
Don Stevens, Andrew Mossbrooks have your call here on the Fan Rochester beginning at 7 o'clock tonight. We have what we believe to be the Buffalo Bills 2025 schedule. The Bills open up on a Sunday night at home against the Baltimore Ravens. The bye will be coming up Week 7 on October 19th. Quentin Morris, tight end, signing with Jacksonville today. Knicks and Celtics, Game 5 tonight. Yankees trailing Seattle 2-0. Gene Battaglia in the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
If you want pure, unfiltered, unadulterated sports, you've come to the right place. 95.7 FM, The Fan, Rochester.
They're a really hardworking team. They're competitive. They play tight defensively, but they have some game breakers. They have some guys that at any moment can turn the game on its side. So I think it's a very good team. I mean, they have the most points in the league, so they obviously are very impressive, and they have a lot of depth. That's why it's great that we played them. We know what they are. We know what they can do, and we know what we can do as well.
Amherst forward Josh Dunn on tonight's opponent, the Laval Rocket. Puck drop coming up here just over an hour and a half from now, just after 7 o'clock.
Danger, here's my plan tonight. Now, you've got a confirmation on your house tonight. I'm setting up my own command center. Amherst on my smart speaker. Monitor with the volume down on Knicks Celtics so I can listen to the Amherst. Mets going for the sweep at Pittsburgh. Watch that on my phone. Computer monitor the release of the NFL schedule. Although at this point I'm just like, okay, give me the Monday night lineup, give me the Sunday night lineup. I'd like to take everything in. Give me the Week 1 lineup as well, so we kind of already start to think about who we want to take in Survivor football.
Are we doing that tomorrow? At some point tomorrow, we're going to look at the Week 1 schedule and we're going to be like, all right, what's our pick? It'll pop up. It'll jump off the page at us, right? There'll be one game that just jumps off the page at us.
Now, so from all the things that are breaking here about Week 1, divisional. Now, the Bills are not in a divisional game, but all these seem it's not going to be easy from the early returns here.
We didn't make it past Week 1 last week. It's never easy.
No, that's a new rule. No more Cincinnati Bengals.
Don't pick the Bengals.
Bengals, unreliable, immature, cheap organization. Yes, they score a lot of points. No, they're not reliable. By the way, the Bengals come in Week 14 of Buffalo. About the Knicks, they're actually getting 4.5 points tonight in Boston. That looks like a gift, right? Beware. 7 o'clock on TNT. That's followed up by Game 5, Minnesota Golden State. The Warriors season feels like it's about ready to go out with a whimper. No Steph Curry again tonight, but they are hinting danger that if somehow Golden State wins this, he might be available for Game 6 back in San Francisco. T-Wolves favored by 10.5.
Yeah, man, the Wolves in the Western Conference Final is fun. And if you had the Wolves and OKC for a Western Conference Final with the young talent that both teams have, I would sign up for that. All that said, like the Warriors, they're comfort food. Like I like seeing the Warriors. It's sad to me to see the Warriors. What feels like the end of this era of Warriors basketball with Steph ailing and Draymond getting older.
Well,
moving on from Clay last year.
Is it the end, or is it just ready for retool here?
Okay.
This story goes back to All-Star Weekend. Okay, back to February. Steph Curry is at the All-Star game, and he's hosting an after-hours party where it's not big. It's just his teammates. No media is allowed in. But there was one surprise guest, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And according to multiple reports, Giannis was the only non-Warrior there. Warrior owner Jacob Lacombe and Draymond Green spending a lot of time with the Bucks star. Now everyone in the Bay is connecting dots there. Could this be how they retool?
I mean, if you're the Warriors, you love that move. You get a couple more years maybe out of Steph. you have Giannis there as support and as big. I mean, I just think Giannis has shown. I know he's a champion, but I don't feel like he has the heart of a champion or the killer instinct of a champion. He's not a killer.
Well, they won with Kevin Durant.
Also not a killer.
Right, but they won with him. Like, you're in Golden State, you don't need to be the guy. That's Curry.
Yeah.
Like that's why this
Curry's
would work.
a killer.
Yeah, that's why this would work, Danger. Like, if you come in, that's why if you go back in time, Oklahoma City, the first time they were around, hey, they get to the final and they actually lose to Miami. We forget about that, right? It was, that great team with Harden and, Durant and Westbrook, young team. The next year, they lose to Golden State in 7 games. Oklahoma City had a 3-1 lead. And then Durant joins Golden State.
Yeah.
You coward. I still can't get over that.
I get it, and I know he got criticized for that, but I also feel like at that time, Durant did what I think any of us would have done. He took a better job. He went someplace that was willing to pay him more money, and it. But to my original point on Durant, and I think Giannis the same way, these guys just aren't killers. They're talented. They're immensely talented. And in the case of Giannis, he's a champion, but I can't say he's a killer.
It doesn't matter when the culture's already established. And, like, you're in there, and could they squeeze out another couple of years with Curry if you brought in a really nice big? The NBA would sign up for this.
Yeah.
After years about talking about this, I think we're finally ready for NBA expansion. Adam Silver and the team governors will meet in July to discuss the plan and how to bring the league to 32. As far as who those teams might be, there doesn't seem to be much suspense here, right? Las Vegas and the return of the Sonics seem to be the two logical places. Now, playing a role in this, though, is a story from yesterday we didn't get to, but the fact that the Paul Allen estate, and we talked about the Paul Allen estate in regards to the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah.
Because of their tax laws in the state of Washington, eventually that team can't be gifted. The estate is going to have to put that up. The Seahawks at some point are going to have a new owner. Well, the surprise here is, remember he owns the estate owns the Portland team. Well, now that the Trailblazers are going up, that is, the league may want to wait and see how much Portland fetches before they set a price tag for expansion.
Okay. I like that. I think that makes sense.
And some people are pointing like, okay, well, could actually the interest from Seattle buy the Blazers and move them up? The answer is no. Like, the Blazers their lease is until 2032, which
they have an arena. Yeah. The Sonics will have an arena. Vegas will have an arena. Let's go.
Practice round today at the PGA Championship, which begins tomorrow. Quail Hollow, of course. Scotty Scheffler pulled an all-time move. His polo, bright orange, just like the jumpsuit he wore last year when he was arrested for a few hours.
Nothing like letting go of a grudge. So he's wearing safety orange, like the orange jumpsuit the convicts have to wear?
The only thing would have been better because he's wearing those with khakis. Do they make an international orange pair of pants?
Ricky Fowler would know that.
Yeah,
I
like
think Ricky Fowler could rock the safety orange from head to toe. Probably has a spare pair that he could give to his tourmate there in Scheffler.
John Madden's coming to the big screen.
Saw this.
Yeah, cast as the coach turned commentator is Nicolas Cage. Christian Bale is going to play the role of Al Davis. That's interesting. I'm willing to give this a shot here, Danger, because the writer of this movie, Madden, has a good track record. David O. Russell behind The Fighter. He wrote Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle. Interesting that when this project was first announced in 2023, it was actually going to be Will Ferrell getting to play a role in Madden. I'm not sure what happened there. No release date has been given.
When I heard Nick Cage, I'm like, nah, that ain't going to work. And then I saw the images today. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's going to work just fine.
Oh, Christian Bale is Al.
And Christian Bale is Al is going to work just fine. And this guy's, you're right, Russell has a pretty good track record here of writing hits. I'm in. Sign me up.
You can start with like 70s, like you put that motif of what the Raiders were like in the 70s, and you can only imagine. Maybe you go back further, the fact that there's a plane crash that, that's the reason why John Madden never flew after that.
Yeah. That's fun. I can't wait.
How do they portray Summerall there? Because Summerall was this grandfatherly play-by-play guy who was a really big boozer.
Yeah, but very straight on the air. Just
Right,
very,
yeah.
Madden was all personality and Summerall was all business. Yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. Speaking of Thanksgiving, we know the lineup for Thanksgiving, right? We've got the early game. It'll be Green Bay, Detroit. We know that Kansas City will visit Dallas, and that will probably be a record-setting game in terms of viewership. And then the nightcap that night is
it's
why am I blanking on Thanksgiving night?
I had to look this up. Thanksgiving night. Sorry, there's just so much at us today, folks, that...
Well, we've been so focused on the Bills and what we got from the Bills that I think that maybe forgot about some of these other games that were happening.
Well, Black Friday we already knew.
We knew Black Friday was Bears and Eagles. And when we get to Thanksgiving, hang on, Gino, I've almost got it here pulled up.
Commanders? This is great radio, by the way. You and I just drawn a...
They haven't announced it yet. I don't have it yet. I'm
Really?
sorry. Yeah, they haven't announced it yet.
Huh.
I you know what? In my head, I thought I knew what it was, and I shouldn't have said anything because I don't think that they've necessarily announced. That'll be 8 o'clock tonight. We'll get the full NFL schedule.
Well, what if, the schedule we've been going off of, there's a last-second tweak? Meaning, if they haven't announced it, if Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming to Pittsburgh, could Buffalo at Pittsburgh be a Thanksgiving night game?
Right now, that's scheduled for Sunday
of Thanksgiving
week, and according to the schedule that we've been touting and propping up and treating as gospel, that would be a 4:25 game, week 13. We'll see. 8 o'clock tonight. Let's compare notes. I would be, based on everything that we know and how this was put together, I'd be surprised if what we've been talking about today isn't 100% accurate. Feels like it's 100% accurate based on everything that we've seen and everything that's been reported and all of the leaks that are out there from other teams as well.
No preseason dates, though, Danger. Give me the preseason.
Yeah. Last call is
Yeah.
next. If you want to pull up a stool and join us, we welcome your calls. You can have the final word in the sports bar at 585-866-4FAN, 866-4326.
Planning your graduation party this spring? Do it right and book now with the award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. Check out all the catering options at goodsmokebbq.com. Good Smoke's mouth-watering pulled pork, savory ribs, and tender brisket will create an authentic, slow-smoke barbecue feast for your guests. Or if you're hungry now, come on down. Open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub. Modern barbecue experts. 135 West Commercial Street, East Rochester, and goodsmokebbq.com.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Last call in the Sports Bar. Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
You didn't think I'd go the whole show without some Belichick Hudson update today, did you?
Thank God. I was waiting.
Yeah. This courtesy, the Washington Post did a profile on Jordan Hudson today. Well, this is the biggest takeaway, that nobody from North Carolina, when they wanted North Carolina's perspective on this, would talk on the record. But, and again, I think we can trust the Washington Post that they're not just making up these quotes. This is some high-ranking official from North Carolina who was not authorized to give their name. I just think it's so odd. We just don't know what's coming. Those two decide what they're going to do, and they do it. They're insanely suspicious of media. It's almost Trumpian. She's not good at what she's trying to do. How could she be? She's 24.
I mean, she could be a good PR person at 24. I'm not going to discriminate her based on her age, but they're not wrong. She's not good at being a PR person. She's in charge of Bill's personal brand, and she's not doing a very good job of managing his personal brand. I don't know that matters for Bill Belichick. I think Bill Belichick doesn't need to have a personal brand. I think his personal brand is, I'm a football coach. I'm here to win football games. Next case. But having her control the way she's been controlling, or being portrayed the way she's being portrayed, it makes him look weak. And he's never looked weak as a head coach. He's always been stoic. He's always been adversarial with the media. But now he looks weak. And if you're leading men, you can't be weak. You got to be strong.
You can't be whipped by a 24-year-old, right?
You can't. I
guess you could, but
you can't be pushed around by your girlfriend who's the same age as your roster. Like, it's something that we've never seen before. I think this is why you said the other day, like, I'm out on Belichick. I used to respect him. I don't even respect him anymore.
That was the thing. I didn't like him, but my gosh, he won and he had a style and the no days off. Really, I didn't know. You're reacting like a retired man here, which is fine.
But then
you're
retire.
not retired.
Yeah, then
go retire.
So that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch. And college football laying out some. Who did I see Syracuse going up with?
Tennessee. That's game
week
in
1?
Atlanta. Yeah, yeah. That is Labor Day weekend.
Good luck.
Ooh.
Good luck. Oh my goodness.
Let's go.
All right, big night ahead. Let's get there.
Yes.
We got the Amerks coming up first.
Amerks.
7 o'clock tonight. You'll hear the action on the Fan Rochester. The Hall of Famer Don Stevens will be on the call. You've got Knicks Celtics tonight in what could be a series clincher for the New York Knicks if they can get one at TD Garden in Boston. That's tonight. The Stanley Cup playoffs are interesting tonight. Can the Toronto Maple Leafs get one in a pivotal Game 5 at home?
Well, for your sake, I'm hoping.
The Knights are looking to hold on for dear life at home. Down 3-1 against Edmonton. You've got the Wolves looking to eliminate Golden State later tonight in the NBA. And, of course, just over 2 hours from now, the official release of the NFL schedule. Let's compare notes. Let's see. I mean, if we're wrong, everybody's going to tell us how wrong we were tomorrow, and that will be our show. But I believe what we've been sharing as far as the Bills schedule to be accurate. And let's reconvene here tomorrow at 3 o'clock, see what the world looks like. Thanks to our guest today, Thad Brown, News 8 Sports, PJ Glasser, the host of Send It In. If you missed either of those conversations, you can find them wherever you get your shows. Just search out the Sports Bar. Thanks for watching on YouTube. Like and subscribe while you're there. JR Sport Brief next. Amerks Hockey coming up at 7.
You're listening to the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester. The sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester, is everywhere.
Time to gear up with